Righto, we live? I believe we are. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's stream. Long time no see on the open mic side of things. I know it's been a while since I did one. Admittedly, these are hard to get around to doing because it's got to be the right topic, right? For me to think I can talk about it and at a great length of time, and B, like have it like open to like a greater conversation and have like people come on in. But anyway, real quick off the bat, I will say if anyone is immediately tuning in who is not familiar with the open mics, just let everybody know there is a link in the description of the stream on YouTube to Discord. That Discord is technically it is also a community Discord. It's my public facing community Discord, but it is also an open mic Discord where you guys can hop on into one of the call lines. It's kind of like a line. Whoever's in waiting call room 1 is going to get pulled in next. Whoever's in 2 is next in line, and when the person is pulled from 1 to the call waiting room, then if you're in 2, move up to 1, and 3 to 2, and then general waiting room, the first come, first serve to get to jump into waiting. And third in line is then the next to go in that queue. Try and be as orderly as possible. I'll keep my eye on it to make sure people are not cheating and jumping ahead of the line. But I think most of us are mature enough to take our time. And sometimes there is incidences where someone gets pulled ahead, but that's never favoritism amongst the audience. That's only ever if it's like, for example, if Janovich were to jump. So I said Janovich. It's Janovich. If Janovich, I apologize. My Americanism came in there. If he were to jump into the waiting call rooms, I'd pull him ahead of others because obviously this topic we're talking about today is very much related to him. So, things like that will get someone pulled ahead of the line. Otherwise, generally just I go by the line. I go by who's what where. So, yeah, just wanted to do that little cleaning house thing. And, yeah. We're going to give a couple more minutes for people to kind of trickle in, and then we're going to start today's open mic. All right, real quick. Let me see who's in chat. Pyrrhus was first. Hello, Pyrrhus. Sil, wonderful Sil, lovely Sil, amazing Sil. Did you know that Trench Crusade defenders have inherently smaller peepees? Yes, I did know that. Ulfeth, 1914, welcome. Howdy how. Vivek, welcome, you wonderful, beautiful man. I see you're already in one of the waiting rooms. That's good. Excuse me. I did just get lunch, so I'm a bit burpy. I'm trying not to get it in the mic. Hey, Lady Runesong, how you doing, you lovely lass? I'll keep my eye on it too. Be good, or I'll get you. Yes, Vivek is a mod as well, so he can move you guys around. Jenna Sandwich. Jano the Sandwich. Maybe that's what his wife calls him. I'm not. She knows his real name, so I'm sure. Hey, Nico, what's up? Hello, Asmo. Trench Crusade sucks, and I wish it wasn't a waste. Yeah, it is kind of a tragedy. Like, the best comment I saw on this, and full disclosure, by the way, we're going to react, so to speak. I haven't watched the full thing yet. I do know what's in it because I've spoken to Janovich. I won't say privately because it was on his Discord community. I've spoken with him about it and his thoughts on Trench Crusade before, and he's already told me some things which I suspect are in the video. I could be wrong. Maybe this video has nothing to do with what I've spoken to Janovich. I keep saying Janovich. It's Janovich. I am so sorry. I've spoken with him directly on his Discord, and I've gotten some thoughts on Trench Crusade previously. So I suspect a good number of those are what this video contains. That being said, I haven't watched it fully. We're going to do that today on stream. It's only 12 minutes, and I'm going to interrupt it like maybe a couple of times to give my thoughts. But generally, we're going to let it play through. I'm going to give my thoughts. I'm going to give my opinion. And of course, as soon as we're done that, we're then going to open the floor for the open mic. And then obviously you guys can trickle in. As I explained before, the link to the call line Discord. And it's also, again, an open community Discord if you wish to stay there. But if you just want to hop in for the calls, that's fine. The link is in the description. It should be the very first link in the description. It's just, there's nothing special you got to do. You don't need to subscribe or anything. Just click the Discord, join in, get in the call lines in whatever part of the line you can get into, And yeah, we're gonna go like one person at a time. I don't rush people too much. If there's a lot of people in the waiting call, I'll have like a time limit on everybody. It's a bit loose of a time limit because I don't like cutting people off. I'm not good at it. But yeah, I'm gonna. If there's enough people in waiting call, I'll try and keep things moving pretty steadily. This might look a little weird, but I gotta loosen my belt a little bit. I think it's a bit tight. Again, I just had lunch, so. Oh. All right, let me. What the fuck? SZ. I'm gonna call you Sizzy. If you don't like that, I apologize. You might need to give me an easier name to say because I'm not sure what your name is supposed to be. But just like the memes, and I share the view. Oh, share the view. GW speed ran 80%, but without millions in the bank to survive the Fallout challenge. Yep. The thing is, like, full disclosure for anyone hopping into this, I do give my thoughts politically. That being said, I don't think today's conversation is going to involve too much politics, thankfully. But prior to now, my coverage for Trench Crusade has involved a lot of the culture war stuff. I covered the Trench Crusade drama when they were initially. Well, I guess I'll do it like this. Let me go through you guys real quick while we wait for more people to trickle in real quick. So with my history with Trench Crusade, when I first heard about it, I was shared the artwork. Like, I think like a lot of us. I was shared the artwork and I thought it looked amazing. And I still do. I think the artwork does look fantastic. It's absolutely brilliant, and I think the artist that they got was absolutely amazing. Good news, the stream is getting ads. Is it? Oh, they haven't demonetized this one. That is good news. Yes. Let's see how long that lasts. I know the last one got demonetized, so that is actually good news. But yeah, I saw the artwork. I was initially upbeat and excited for it, but that quickly went away as soon as the 28 or 21 or 20 something mag. It's this alternate like group thing. I don't know all their details, but this group, I'm gonna say 28 mag. I might be wrong about the name, but they had their own Discord and they were hosting effectively the Trench Crusade like community there. And once people like me saw the artwork and were getting initially interested, a lot of people began flooding into the, I guess at that point, unofficial community Discord for Trench Crusade. And a shit ton of people got banned for vibes. And and if you guys look up my old videos on it, I'm not going to drag them up now because I don't even think I have the screenshots anymore. But I had screenshots that proved that they were banning people just for vibes. They were banning people over vibes, which was absolutely dumb. And for those wondering, oh, what were the vibes? Was it rude people? Was it obnoxious people? No, it was people who they got the vibe weren't left-leaning. And I know I'm not kidding. Like, for example, one person's screenshots I saw that I spoke to directly about the situation that got banned. He got banned because he asked how the Christian faith and how the faith in God worked mechanically in the universe to oppose demons. And he was asking from a theological perspective. Before anyone even humored answering his question, he got banned. And the citation was vibes. So that's one such example of someone getting banned. And that was towards the beginning of the hype train for Trench Crusade. Now, I reported on that situation, I shared it around, and I spoke to a lot of people, and once I uploaded the video, I got even more testimonies in the comment section of people also getting banned for that, and unfortunately, it got drowned out by the hype. Hardly anyone who backed the Kickstarter for Trench Crusade, which, by the way, I myself, correction, I didn't back the Kickstarter. I initially was going to, though. So basically, I saw the artwork, I heard about the Discord, and I didn't get in the Discord yet. I was literally on the Kickstarter page about to donate, but that's when I started getting like messages on Discord and stuff of people saying, "Hey, I'm getting banned for vibes and shit." And later in song, not to mention the bannings that happened after the server lockdown, which had to be due to them locking for everyone's X accounts. Yep. And yeah, so I was just about to donate. Like we're talking like I was just short of filling out my credit card information on the Kickstarter to back it, and that's when I heard about the Discord shit. So that's what that stopped me, and I'm pretty happy it did. I'm happy I never lost a cent to this company, but it is kind of funny in hindsight. I was this close to getting scammed. This close, and what saved me was that they couldn't keep the 28 mag moderators from being leftist nut jobs. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, that shit show went down. I reported on it. Hardly anyone stopped kickstarting it and supporting it. I mean, I didn't expect it to, right? Like it was me and I think Arch and like 2 other people who reported on that drama at the time. Most people, like the average Joe tabletop wargamer, heard about it, didn't see those videos, didn't see our coverage, and immediately went to support it. And of course, it was very successful. And I say this with full honesty, I actually was happy when I heard about that. When I heard they hit 2 million, I was like, awesome. Yes, there's this political bullshit happening in the community that's very obvious that there's a leftist bias, but at the time it was just a Discord banning. So I was like, but it's not even their server. It's not the Trench Crusade server. This is 28 mag. This is somebody else. I'm actually really excited. I'm hopeful, and I think everything's going to work out. Then they made their own, and I might have some events mixed up of when they happened, but when I heard that their Kickstarter was absolutely booming, I was actually excited for them, and my hope was like, okay, well, the political stuff isn't going to affect the quality of the product, was always my mindset. It's like, okay, yeah, there's like the leftist thing there, but as long as the miniatures are designed incredibly well, as long as the STLs are really, really awesome, as long as the community license that they were offering up to people to allow them to also make sculpts of everything, as long as everything was on the up and up, on the actual business front and on the actual quality of the material, I didn't see a single issue. So though I was disappointed with the community, and though I was now deciding not to support it, I was still hopeful it would do well, just as on its own. Fast forward past that, to the point, and I'm just going to speed run a couple other events. I'm not going to drain on too much more, but then there was the drama with their own Discord that they made, where they basically just had the exact same moderation team as the 28 mag, the same exact people who tried to join that joined the 28 mag Discord and immediately got banned or were pre-banned. That fucking happened. Then there was on X when Trench Crusade, their X account declared that they were quitting X and they were going to Blue Sky, which Blue Sky is just leftist, the leftist pedo utopia. You can't convince me otherwise. So that was very disgusting of them to go to Blue Sky. Blue Sky is a shithole. So yeah, a bunch of bad shit happened in a row. And yeah, I pretty much wrote them off. I figured at that point, around the time they quit X, and also the point where they also defended the moderators for banning people over vibes, at that point I was like, yeah, no, this is doomed. And then there was that presentation they did. I can't remember what convention it was, but they did a presentation where they did a bunch of humble brags, and they were basically like, oh, we didn't cater to the extremists. And I was like, what a bunch of salty losers. It's like, you might be millionaires now, but come on, what are you doing? Like it was comical, and it was very, very like tongue in cheek, and I thought it was petty. It's like, fine, be petty, I guess. And after that, I was still the one hope I still had left after all of the community crap. I'd sworn off at that point Trench Crusade. I was like, all right, even if the quality of the product is really good, I'll never buy these products. I'll never get these STLs, or I'll never pay for them, I should say. If someone were to send them to me, I wouldn't exactly delete them, But I was like, okay, but if the quality of the product is good, we'll be all set. It wasn't. And I actually spoke with Janovich. Actually, he came onto one of my live streams a while back. I did again, didn't I? Said Janovich. Janovich came on one of my live streams, and I was actually speaking to him in the chat, and he was explaining to me the problems there, as well as later on I spoke to him on his own Discord, and he explained to me that there was some resin traps in their designs. There was a bunch of other design issues. Apparently there was some support issues. There was a bunch of islands that they weren't accounting for in the pre-supported stuff. Like, there was stuff that he was at that time, like this was months ago too, that he was being told about or discovering on his own. So I was actually surprised he didn't make a video at that point. And I considered making a video off of what he was telling me, but I myself hadn't looked into it. And plus, again, I had kind of resigned Trench Crusade to it was going to fail. Just because culturally, the people behind it seemed really shit. But recently, Janovich actually made a video. And we're gonna watch it. Again, I haven't seen it. I figure what he's gonna bring up in this video based on what I've been hinted at is in the video, based on conversations with other folks, plus what I myself know from conversations with Janovich. So yeah, I guess you could say I have a preview of this just by speaking with the man. I am hopeful there's new information in this video that I haven't gleaned from conversing with Janovich before we go into it. But yeah, we're gonna check that out. Hold on, let me pull it up here for you lovely folks. All right, so we're gonna watch this real quick. And before I do, I am gonna go in the chat and welcome some more people who came in, because I know a couple came in while I was giving my explanation of some background on my perspectives on things. And again, I've pretty much gone over the culture war stuff already. I don't think there's anything new on that front. I think it's pretty clear they're very left-leaning behind the scenes. But again, that doesn't mean anything as long as the product is good. And today we're going to be talking about product. Today we're going to be talking about the quality. This is a very non-political topic, thankfully. But I did want to give that informative perspective here. Boom. Okay. So it is a little cropped. One second. Yeah, I usually crop it a little bit for potential copyright reasons, but I think Janovich will be fine. Come on. There we go. Oh, very, very professional setup here. All right. Okay, so let me welcome a couple more people before we actually start the video. And we are at this point. I've already pre-liked it, I will admit, so. Let me... All right, who's new in the chat? Das Rat. How you doing, man? Buenos noches. Buenos. Buenos dias. Good news, the stream is getting ads. Yes, that was good news. Yeah, we got an ad for it. Congrats on keeping the monetization. I know. Let's see how long that lasts. YouTube hates my ass, especially with live streams. Most of my live streams have been demonetized. Thankfully, most of them haven't been, like, blocked or anything. Most of them are yellow demonetization, which is technically... like ad sharing, but you get like 10% or 20% or something like that, and YouTube stops pushing in the algorithm when they do that, by the way. So it's stupid. But anyway, I like the art of the mortals. Demons kind of looked too Photoshop horror to me. The demons did. I don't know. I don't know if I'd agree with that. I'd have to see like a specific example of what you're talking about, to be fair. But generally, remembering back to the artwork I've seen, generally when I look back at what I've seen for the artwork for Trench Crusade, I being fully honest, it's all very, very good. The artwork hard carried the marketing for this game. It really, really did. I'm tongue-tied. I've been very impressed with Trench Crusade's general like aesthetic that they were going for. It's just a shame that everything behind that pretty grimdark face was hollow and crap, which is very sad. Lion Boomer, how you doing? That escalated quickly. Oh, okay. You talking about the general situation? Yes, all of this has escalated fairly quickly. Although quick, I would say, in comparison to a company like Games Workshop, like the legacy companies in the field, like even Warlords is awesome. They haven't had a problem like this. But like the other big like companies in the space for tabletop wargaming, yeah, I'd say Trench Crusade in comparison definitely rose and fell very, very quickly. But yes, welcome Lions Boomer. How you doing? I didn't ask. Sorry, Lion Boomer. Why did I say Lions Boomer? My bad. Vibes hearsay or just asking what's happening in Asia. Asked about Japan since the relationship with Christianity is complicated but that bad. Lady Song, not to mention the bannings that yes, the X accounts bannings. Ufeth 1914. I wanted an Anchorite or Walwolf, but then ditched Jihad outed themselves as stupid. Yes. They treated the Norwegian like he was bloody Voldemort. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, unfortunately, Arch is always treated like that. And, Like, Arch... Honestly, I don't see what he does to deserve it. Listen, I'm more of an asshole than Arch is. I am. Like, not to go on too long of a tangent, because I do want to get us through the video, and then we're going to do the open mic. But, just quick side tangent. I am way more of an asshole than Arch is. I've always been more of an asshole than Arch is. And don't get me wrong, Arch is snide, right? Arch has got, got that sarcastic snide to him, absolutely. But comparative to me, I'm a dick. Like when I like see companies or individuals or stuff like for example, look at my video I did on dev. Like that's the only time I've ever covered dev, and I went for the throat. I am pretty brutal when I don't like somebody or when I get a bad vibe on something. I am an asshole. Arch, by comparison, like he gets way more shit than me. And to be fair, he's bigger than me. You always will get more shit the more people know you, but by comparison, Arch doesn't go a tenth as hard as me on half the shit I do. And yet he is demonized and treated like Voldemort, like by a lot of the community, and I don't get it. It's like Arch is so much nicer than me. He's well more thought out, he's more respectful. He lays out his thoughts very intellectually. I don't even bother with that cuz I know I'm not dealing with intellectuals half the time when I cover assholes on the internet. So why am I going to feign intellectualism? I'm not going to play that game. I'm going to act immature and be a dickhead most of the time. Obviously, when I have a conversation with a person, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt if I'm even going to get to that point. But if I'm talking about somebody that has shown themselves to be an immature asshole or shown themselves to just be stupid or intellectually dishonest, I don't humor the intellectual debate. I just go for the throat, and I will throw some low balls. Because at that point, as far as I see it, there's no point in like the mature coverage. Like if I'm not dealing with maturity, why conduct maturity? That's kind of my mindset. Call it an immature mindset, might be, but that's how I handle things. I'm a way bigger than an asshole than Arch, but for some reason he gets a lot more shit than he should. It really does, and I think it's ridiculous. I didn't finish it yet, so it'll be cool to see the rest of y'all. Yeah, nice. Alright, let me zip through, and then we'll start the video. Totally out of the loop with Trench Crusade since the whole map reveal that turned me off the settings, so I'm here to catch up. Awesome. Welcome, Rebellious Red. I myself haven't kept too in touch with the nitty-gritty of the community since that point. I'd say that was my last big coverage. But I think this is the latest big drop on them. And I will say this, if, again, this includes what I think from Janovich, based on my conversations with him. This is worse than a culture war thing. Because here's the thing, there are a shit ton of normies or shit ton of like normal everyday gamers that actively do their best to not get involved in the culture war. And they will ignore all that stuff, and that won't ruin a hobby for them. Even if like personally they are right leaning, they will still avoid it and just ignore the left leaning like biases and stuff, as long as the product is good. But if the product is terrible, you lose even that middle of the road people. And that's where you truly fail. You can piss off people like who are on an overt political spectrum and still survive because, quite frankly, the majority of people are somewhere in the middle. But if you piss them off because the quality of the product is terrible, there's no coming back from that. Don't believe me? Look at Concord. And likely, look at how Highguard's going to go. Look at the response to Highguard. If something isn't on the up and up, even the normie won't accept it. I knew it was Vapid from day one. Yeah, I will say this. Karn from day one has been calling this out. Even when the initial artwork passed, Karn was pretty like, I don't know. So Karn had the instinct. I had to actually see some drama happen first. Excuse me. Yes, indeed, TC went hard corpo. Yes, they did. Alright, Arch enables the foot fetish, unforgivable crime. I don't know. The fetish stuff I'm not getting into. I have no idea what that's about. I don't want to know. As it is, I know too much about short fat otaku's stuff. Like that. Being informed on what other weird YouTubers like for fetishes, I don't need to know. Like, the fact that I know devs' fetishes now, against my will, yeah, no, I don't need to know arches. I don't need to know kibs. I don't need to know maulers. I don't need to know anybody's. Okay, I don't care about that if it's not about the content. Generally, ugh. Okay. Arch gets more shit because of size, and people think he's a genuine. Yeah, sure. Arch is a National Socialist of Journey. Got it. Apologies for the grammar mistakes. Nah, I don't judge people for grammar mistakes. I make grammar mistakes all the time. It's no biggie. Oh, the foot thing. Oh, okay, I don't know who Lum Lum is. Yeah, I'm very right wing, and will support something. It's good, no matter the politics of the creating corporation to a degree. Yeah, and I'd say most people are like that. I would say that most people are like that, depending. There are certain like products that do appeal to people on a very tight political spectrum, but that's very rare. Most products appeal to the majority of people, whether you're across political spectrums. So yeah. What kicks are rocks? Don't, please. I don't need to know. Have your kicks as long as they're legal. I don't care. New pet VTuber. Okay. I don't know who Lumi is. I'll admit I haven't watched Archcast in I want to say like a year plus, outside of like a couple videos he's made. But even then, those were solo. I don't remember. I haven't watched anything where he's done collaborative stuff in a long time. All right, so I think we've caught up with chat. I welcomed all the new folks, so we're gonna check out, and I'm gonna record it for YouTube as well, because there are a lot of people who don't click on the live streams, but will click on a video, even if it's like a good chunk of the live stream. So I'm gonna click record. Obviously conduct yourselves normally, but I'm gonna do a quick intro for the recordings section, and yeah, we'll just record that real quick. The open mic will not be recorded, like the actual back and forth conversation. That is unique to the stream. But just for the reaction, quote unquote, portion to Janovich's stuff. All right, I'm going to click record. All right, so we're going to be checking out the Janovich's video, Trench Crusade is a disaster, and here's why. And as I've been kind of saying, I'm recording this on a live stream. But as I've been kind of telling people on live stream, just to real quick zip it off for the video portion, I have spoken with Janovich privately, so to speak, on his community Discord, as well as he popped into one of my live streams and kind of spoke back and forth with me on the 3D model STL file front and spoke to some design issues. I'm suspecting a good portion of this video is about that, but I am hopeful that there is also some new information gleaned in this video that I don't already know from having spoken to Janovich directly. So let's check it out.
For almost a full year now, I've been getting a lot of comments about Trench Crusade under my videos. Especially since I've announced that I will be no longer making content for Warhammer, there have been so many comments telling me to start making content for Trench Crusade instead.
And I won't pause too many times, but just kind of throw this in real quick. I also walked away from 40k content, not 100%. Like on the private front, I still play the tabletop of my LGS. I still have minis in my pile of shame that I need to like go through and buy. I have such a big pile of shame though. Quitting 40k is, if anything, a benefit to me because I have way too many boxes to go through. But I also walked away from 40k, and I don't intend to buy, like, my last GW mini ever is over there. You guys can't see it, but it's a Horus Heresy model. It's a Mechanicus mech. That was my I on my private Discord with my friends. I shared that I purchased it, and I said my last GW mini ever. I'll never buy another product from them again outside of paints. Admittedly, I still buy the Citadel paints because the metallics better than any others so far. And yes, I've tried Vallejos, tried Army Painters. I've tried pretty much everybody but two thin coats. And so far, no metallic equivalent has matched Lead Belcher and Retributor Gold, things like that. So, but generally speaking, I don't buy any minis from GW anymore. I don't buy any new rule sets or anything like that, and I don't need to. I mean, I got several editions behind me. I got some 3rd edition, I got some 4th edition, 9th, and my 7th edition is, I think it's somewhere on the 2nd shelf. But I got my, I got some of the older editions plus 9th, and yes, I do have the 10th edition rulebook, but I don't use it. I don't ever play it. Yeah. I also walked away, and I walked away for similar reasons to Janovich. After the drama where GW sued a BattleTech creator over stuff that they did, and yes, he got let off the lawsuit, but he had to waste money and hire a lawyer to get taken off that lawsuit. But the whole situation was ridiculous. After that point, plus I got really blackpilled with the community because so many people would like agree with me when I would shit on GW for the crap that they pulled, and then like the next day they would share like pictures and stuff of minis that they just bought like that same day or pre-ordered. And it's like, okay, you can agree with me all you want that GW sucks, but if you keep giving them money, why would they ever stop? And I got blackpilled not because of the culture war stuff and like the woke, or because of just because I should say of GW's antics. What really blackpilled me though was the community that sided with me, the community that recognized my criticisms and agreed with me, and were just as loud about their criticisms as I was, but we're still buying the products. We're still doing everything they could to support GW effectively. For me, at that point, it's like, okay, maybe I'm wasting my time. So yeah, I've walked away from 40K and a content creator front. I want to get back into doing hobby loves, which will include 40K minis, of course, but that's just minis as a whole. I also want to do homebrew highlights, which is 40K exclusive content, but that's community content. And I'm really, really slow with making those because they're really specialty videos, each and every one of them. So I take a long time on them. But generally, outside of that, I've more or less walked away. I'll cover when they do major drama, but yeah, Janovich actually helped give me like one last push when he also walked away. So yeah, my channel's hurt because of it, but I'm happier not constantly talking about how a hobby I once loved is shit. It's just depressing when it happens. Anyway.
Talking well into the hundreds of comments now. And given how much overlap there is between the Warhammer and Trench Crusade community, and because I'm interested in Grimdark, World War I and the Middle Ages, people assume that because Trench Crusade is a mixture of all of these things, that it's a perfect fit for my channel. And they're not entirely wrong. But there are some massive issues with Trench Crusade, and because such a massive part of my audience keeps asking me about it, I feel I now owe them an explanation for why I've chosen to stay away from Trench Crusade. As most of you will know, there was some political drama about Trench Crusade, but this video is not about that, and I really couldn't care less.
Let's carry on. There's much so.
Yeah, and respect to Janovich and others for also, trying to keep their hat out of that ring. Sometimes I do really wish certain creators would pick a side, if you will. But even then, I don't want them to pick a political side. I want them to pick a pro-universe and pro-hobbyist front versus an activist front. It's like, you don't need to be right-leaning to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't add femstodies just for the sake of women. Maybe when we add women to the universe, it should be genuine and not based on a political bias as well as a political pander. Like maybe when we do stuff like for the hobby, it should be for the hobby and for an overarching benefit, whether it's on the meta front or whether it's an in-universe thing. It should be done because it makes logical sense and a logical conclusion for things that are set up in the universe, rather than, again, political biases and propaganda. You don't need to be like, you could be hyper left-leaning and agree to that notion, but generally, I get that there's a lot of people who are like, nah, I don't even want to touch that. And trust me, I do get it. It's very stressful to do it. You do make a lot of people hate you. I know. And I've made videos on the political stuff in regards to the political and the community drama stuff with Trench Crusade. They're like a year plus old videos. So if you want to check those out on my channel, they're somewhere. But I've already covered that stuff, so I'm not going to reiterate it again here. But yeah, I do understand why Janovich doesn't want to touch it, especially since, again, this video is going to be about something that's more overarching and objective, regardless of your political leaning or your social leanings. Real quick, those who keep buying don't understand that starving the beast means in case of Big Corpo. Yeah, and I think I would like to say it's a case of people don't get it. But I think it's a case of people understand it, but they are just too addicted. Like the system, it was too good at giving them an emotional reliance. So I think a lot of people understand that the right thing to do would be to stop buying from GW, but they just won't because they can't. They've created an emotional reliance on like buying minis, assembling them, painting them as like a stress relief activity. It's an addiction without a chemical causation. Well, I guess it is a chemical thing. It's endorphins in the brain.
A lot of mistakes to do.
Not that I'm a
For
doctor.
me, Trench Crusade personally didn't appeal, because although I do like World War One and Middle Ages, I don't like the mix, and also it includes stuff like fighter jets and other World War II influences that kinda ruin the World War One vibe for me anyway, but I was at least open to giving them a chance. What this video is actually about is their Kickstarter, which turned out to be a massive rabbit hole. If you look at the Kickstarter comments, it's just an endless stream of people asking when their stuff will be delivered. I think there's literally now...
Wait, I didn't talk to Janovich about that. Like, their stuff hasn't been delivered? Wait. I knew that the quality of the product was shit, but I thought they were delivering them.
Thousands stream massive rabbit hole. If you look at the Kickstarter comments, it's just an endless stream of people asking when their stuff will be delivered. I think there's literally now thousands of comments like this. This was made worse by the printing company that they are working with, sending people broken miniatures or just straight...
What the fuck? Okay, so this he did talk to me
missing
about.
Large chunks of their... Or thousands of comments like this. This was made worse by the printing...
Let me, first off, let me read a couple of these real quick. I received my package 2 days ago, and I'm really frustrated as I received 2 of the new Antioch warbands rather than what I ordered. Wait, so, okay, so people aren't even just, like, not getting their stuff. What they're getting is the wrong product. What? Okay, rather than what I ordered, which was the warband and the bundle with the additional characters. Wait, so I'm assuming on the Kickstarter, like I've never made a Kickstarter, so I don't know exactly how the back end looks. But I'm assuming the Kickstarter has a itemized list of the people they're backing, like money, and like what products they're owed based on the Kickstarter promises. I'm assuming that's bracketed in some kind of table that they can just print off. So if they have any kind of like, it doesn't even need to be a factory setting. Someone's garage, if you got the 3D printers and you got the boxes and you got the bags and got everything that you're going to seal everything up in, it should be like an assembly line. It's like, okay, you got the guys who print off the file. They're going to clean it. They're going to cure it. Once it's cleaned and cured, fully, presumably, you're then going to move it to the guy who's going to dry it off and then, you know, double check that they've got the included instructions for all the different pieces, double check the quality of each print, and then send it off. Now, obviously, if there's a resin trap, eyeballing it isn't going to immediately tell you, oh, there's something wrong with it. Unless it is an obvious resin. Sometimes a resin trap is obvious. Sometimes it's subtle and it'll break open over time. I've actually printed off a few minis that were poorly designed that had resin traps. So I've dealt with a resin trap issue. I had a couple heads burst open on my desk, and that freaked me out. But thankfully, I know how to handle resin. I know how important it is not to touch my mouth after I touch liquid resin. So I was able to clean it up real quick, and thankfully it wasn't at like a hobby shop playing with them. But the point is, you should have all of that assembly line, and it should be kind of like at a restaurant with the receipts. It's like, okay, here's what box, bundle, and stuff that they're owed from the Kickstarter. Boom, take it from a print, assembly, bagging, quality assurance, instructions, throw it in the box, seal it up, package it, send it out. And they should do that as fast as they can and reliably do it correctly. Obviously, always go slower if you are having issues with like the pace of the product. And to be fair, this kind of just popped in my head. To be fair to Trench Crusade and the people behind it, they did get an influx of support. Like they got millions, what was it, like $3 million on the Kickstarter? That means they got thousands and thousands of people, more than they probably were initially predicting, would be interested in Trench Crusade. So maybe the sheer volume of people threw them off and they didn't have the infrastructure ready to go to facilitate those products. The result is you put up a community post, you be transparent about that. You say, hey, we didn't expect this many people. we are overwhelmed. You're going to have to give us more time. We apologize, and then give a time frame and do your absolute best to live up to it. And if that, yet again, that time frame isn't working out and you need even more time, again, transparency. You tell the community, here's what's wrong, and then make sure you do it right. At the same time, it's simple. It is complicated. I do understand that. But sending people the wrong product, you're going too fast, something's wrong on the back end, and you guys are not doing proper quality assurance. Hey, Litney. It's sort of like that, but never discount the quality of people simply not giving a shit. They do have that system. The people behind the project just don't care. I mean, yeah, I do think that that's the case. I'm doing this thing called, to be fair, I'm doing devil's advocacy. That's what I'm doing right now. But I don't think that's the case. I will admit. I do think, granted, I'm biased because I don't like the people behind Trench Crusade. To me, they've shown on a social level to be wretched people. So I am biased towards the idea that they are just lazy and they're assholes and they just don't care. But I'm trying to remove myself from that bias a little bit and give a fair shake. It's like maybe they were overwhelmed. That doesn't excuse giving people the wrong product, but it is an explanation. I do believe very strongly in not every explanation is an excuse, but every excuse is also an explanation. This is not quite an excuse, but it is an explanation. I do think there is a separation between the two. Let's keep going.
Company that they are working with, sending people broken miniatures or just straight up missing large chunks of their order. The Trench Crusade devs have been making tons of excuses and repeatedly making statements like, oh yeah, everything will be fixed end of the month.
Hold on. What did the Jamie collaborator? Hi Lucas, I'm really sorry. That is absolutely not acceptable and not S3D's usual quality. Well, apparently by the fact that by sheer volume of reports, that does seem to be your usual quality. Because Janovich showed quite a few people commenting about issues with their products or not getting them. So that doesn't speak. That doesn't. Your general quality needs to be self-evident in its own right. And if you have that many people with issues, your S3D's quality probably is reflective of this. There has clearly been a problem with quality control. If you write to S3D at hello at they will send you replacements. Maybe Janovich is going to go into this, but if there's anyone out there who did that process, who contacted S3D, please email me or message in like a stream or something. Comment even on the video portion of this or on the live stream. But please, if you did this, let me know if that actually worked and you got your product. And that's one, but two, you got the product in the quality that it was promised. I'm curious to see if that's actually happened for many people.
And repeatedly making statements like, oh yeah, everything will be fixed end of the month, yada yada, several times in a row. They then started shifting the blame towards the printing partner, who apparently had half their print farm out of action, so that was kind of weird to me. So at that point, I was kind of looking into how.
During the month of June, approximately 100 printers from S3D's print farm, which represents a massive 1/3 of their total capacity, broke down over the space of 2 weeks. Issues varied from dead pixels on the screens to broken build plate motors. To be clear, these kinds of issues do happen even with regular maintenance. What? Wait, so, okay. 1/3 of their printers just broke? Now listen, I have 3D printers that I used quite a lot. I don't know what kind of printer they're using. Obviously, it's resin printers. They're SLA printers, but okay, that doesn't. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna say that they're lying, but that sounds so odd that 100 at one time broke down. Usually, there's signs if you're. Granted, not always. Sometimes it sounds and operates normally, and then suddenly there's just a holdup. There's something wrong with the LED screens, or there's something wrong with the build plate, or there's sometimes there is problems with the motors, and they do just kind of happen. But for 100+ printers to just break down at one time, I'm not going to say they're lying, but that sounds a little convenient. Or I guess inconvenient. But convenient to provide a reason why the product and the quality and all that is not on the up and up. Yeah, I'm not gonna say they're lying because I don't know that, but I'm gonna put a little pin on that and say that's little odd, little convenient, but okay.
How it was possible that a $3 million Kickstarter could fail in such a spectacular way, and started looking at their miniatures in more details. And that's when I found out that many of their miniatures had extremely bad pre-supports. So yeah, it is no wonder that their printing partner has having such big issues with pre-supports.
Yeah, I usually go for a raft. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna see if I can do this in a minute. If I can't do this in a minute, then we'll get back to the video. But I actually have some files. I'll pull up one of Warglave's prototypes real quick. Finished product files, STLs, Gretsch. Now, keep in mind, before anyone gets, for who's familiar with 3D STLs, keep in mind, these are, okay, sorry, this is not my pre-supported file, this is just the raw STL. Where is the, yeah, I'm gonna try and do this real quick. Where the fuck is, I know I have some pre-supported files. I'm trying to find them. Oh, jeez. Okay, I might not have them in that folder. Let me try this again with 3D printables. Okay, I think I got an example. All right, I've been using Chitubox. I've been meaning to upgrade to a different one, but let me pull this up. All right, so this isn't the best example, but usually we go on Chitubox. If it'll open, there we go. Usually on Chitubox. For some reason, my OBS does not like me using the file. Okay, well, let me do this real quick. Why do you... It's just display capture. It's not... Okay. That's weird. For some reason, display capture hates this. But, yeah, for example, I use rafts. So, with rafts on your 3D print files, like this, they give, like, a more solid base for your supports on the actual build plate. And granted, I'm not the best at explaining this. I'm not going to pretend to be, like, the biggest pro with 3D printing, but I have some practice with it. Generally, it's a good idea to have, like, a raft or, like, a flat, like, area in which everything kind of builds off of. Why is... Okay, game capture's trying to capture it now. Oh, God, OBS hates Chitubox. This is weird. But yeah, generally it's good to have like that solid base so all the supports build off of that general area, and plus it's easier to scrape off the build plate once everything's printed because it's all in like this one little flat area that's disconnected from the build plate. With all the supports directly onto the build plate itself without like a connected resin tissue there, it makes that creates a, again, I'm terrible at explaining this and I have a feeling I'm explaining this wrong, but it gives a better base support for removing and for the supports to be built off of, is like having that raft, as it's called. It's that flat base there. And I wish I could show it better, but for some reason OBS hates Chitubox because it's fritzing out. All right, but sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, I'm wondering why they decided not to do a raft. Yeah, something like that would also be better. Yeah, like a bigger base support for the supports, or foundation, I'd say. That's a better word. A better foundation for the supports It feels odd that they would do whatever the fuck that is.
So yeah, it is no wonder that their printing partner has having such big issues making the deliveries when so many of their models will have failed prints just from being poorly designed. And this is exactly what many people complained about receiving models.
Yeah, so
with
this is what
missing arms
Janovich and I
stuff.
spoke about.
I was able to do extensive research because someone gave me access to all of the miniatures from the Kickstarter. I put these in the slicer software and then put them through a software called UV Tools, which will let you know exactly how many unsupported islands there are. And I can indeed confirm that many of the miniatures have really bad pre-supports.
Just to throw this out there, islands, quote unquote, when you're creating supports for a 3D STL file on something like Chidobox, or there's another one out there that's popularly used, but the islands, as they're called, they're areas of like when you're simulating, like as the thing prints in the software, it shows you like layer by layer how it's going to print the file. Islands are spots on the model that need supports, and usually they're highlighted. Like Chidobox highlights them. It even shows you like a coloration, like, oh, this spot needs an island. It's a spot that needs a support, so it'll print properly. Without that support, the resin has no foundation of which to like hold that up and keep it to shape. Again, forgive me if my wording or my explanation is not correct word for word, but generally that's my understanding of islands. Is there are spots that require a support, especially in the pose and whatever the 3D file is supposed to be in for the print, layer by layer, that needs a support on it to make sure it prints properly. So everything is into shape, so all the details are done correctly, and all the layers can be applied properly.
The Trench Crusade devs claim that the reported models
it's tedious to do them manually, but
had been fixed. So I double-checked this by buying a few samples of this list from their My Mini Factory page, which should have been the updated ones, and compare those to the models that I already had. So yeah, while I can say that some of the issues have been fixed, a lot of the issues still remain. The person who apparently fixed the pre-supports has not been thorough enough, and still there remain a lot of unsupported islands, even in the models they claim
probably
have
rushed.
been fixed. Even worse,
again, not
a
an
lot of the
excuse,
models
that's an
also
explanation,
still have
but
resin
they
traps,
probably
which,
rushed.
if you don't know what that is, are holes inside of the 3D model where liquid resin gets trapped, and eventually the resin fumes build up, and even months later this can literally break open the model. So even if you've already painted the model and are playing with them, they can suddenly break open at any moment.
That looks horrible. Yeah, so what, well, sorry, I won't go on too long of a tangent, but with I printed off some Space Marine heads with like a more knightly shape to them. They had a hole right behind the eye, or sorry, the lens portion of the helm that I couldn't see. And that burst open on 6 of the heads. Thankfully, long before I painted those models, I glued them together and assumed everything was fine, put them on the shelf to be primed later, and they burst open one day when I was just looking at them on my desk. They didn't burst open when I was holding them, but while they were there, they just started noticing it was pouring everywhere. They didn't realize the damage. Yes, resin traps are really, really bad. Because, well, again, I'm probably not the best person to explain this. I'm still, I would say, I'm either still considered an amateur or I'm slightly more informed than an amateur 3D printer, generally speaking. But resin traps can be quite destructive because the resin will pool in there, and resin is, well, it will eventually cause everything to burst open, crack open. Everything needs to be solid. That you can have hollow models, but the liquid resin on the inside needs to be cleaned out of a hollow model. So you need to usually have like a hole or something on it so the resin can be drained out or washed out. That way when you do the curing process and everything, the actual solid resin shape you want to be maintained won't be eroded by the resin. Basically, you've created a balloon bubble that will eventually burst on the inside if you don't have a way to vent out the liquid resin. I don't know exactly materialistically what happens. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily that the resin is eroding the solid resin from the inside. I don't know if it's creating some kind of toxic fumes on the inside, which kind of like expand and cause the solid resin to crack and bust. I don't know the exact mechanics of it, and I apologize for my lack of informedness on this. I am familiar with resin traps as far as them existing and them being something to avoid, but I will say Janovich knows way more about the exact mechanics and like the chemical explanation of why these liquid traps just burst or cause these damage problems.
And
But I am
spilled
familiar
toxic
that they
liquid
exist and that there's
resin
something to
all over
avoid.
the table, your hands,
And
or
I've
your
experienced them
storage case,
firsthand.
which is just really bad. So this is all extremely
Yes, resin
amateuristic,
is
especially
toxic.
considering how easy it is to fix these things. And
So
for
it
a
very well
$3
might be the
million
fumes.
Kickstarter, people are going to assume things are done properly, when in fact they are not.
Somebody with some common sense would probably stop us, but there was nobody with common sense with the team, so we did it anyway. Like Iron Man says, not a great plan.
These models
Ooh. That did not age. Oh, that did not age well.
were still actively being sold on their stores and being shipped out to Kickstarter backers. So I reached out to one of their devs and politely
did not age
informed
well.
them
Oof.
about the seriousness of this issue. So obviously he told me that they had already fixed a lot of the models, which I replied with in no uncertain terms, and I quote from the message I sent him. I have double checked several models recently purchased from my mini factory that have these issues. Even miniatures that were on the list claimed as fixed still have issues. For example, Human Body 4 was claimed as fixed, but the second largest resin trap still remains, as well as unsupported islands. This is really not just a matter of report it and we will fix it. The entire range need to be double checked by the developers. Otherwise, people are going to be sent out models with resin traps and files that are not properly supported. I also informed them that if they did fix this, I would retract my community warning. He claimed that he would get it sorted this week, but I have never heard from them again, nor do we have any reason to believe they have actually fixed anything.
And that was back in July. Janovich released this video 3 days ago, so they haven't responded in that entire time. So just for context, how many months is that? All right, so July to August, September, October, November, December, and now January. That's 6 months. In 6 months. Yeah. That's half a calendar year. No response. This like and the best part, I think the best part about this video is Janovich is not the type of guy to make a hit piece. He is not the type of guy to make a video shitting on someone out of something petty or immature or anything like that. He is just laying out the facts, and that makes it all, in some ways, that makes it the most brutal hit piece ever, because A, it's coming from a genuine person, B, it's just the facts, and the facts make them look so fucking bad. They are speed, like, in some ways, they are worse than Games Workshop so far, I would argue. Because here's the thing, what's the one thing that we still give credit to Games Workshop for? That to this day, you can say, if you purchase something from Games Workshop, and here's the thing, I hate them. I hate Games Workshop, and I do mean hate. Like, it used to be dislike, it used to be despise, it's hate. I genuinely hate them. I love their, which is sad, because I love the universe, I love 40K, I love the hobby that they created, but I fucking hate the company. But even with Games Workshop, what's the one thing we can still give them credit for? What? No. Customers. No, the quality of the product. The plastic kits generally are all delivered on time if you properly order them, and they're all in working order. Great models. Yes, thank you, Linley. Amazing customer service. I can't tell if you mean that seriously or not. I hope you don't, Vivek. Good God. Amazing customer service, my ass. Granted, they don't have the worst customer service, I don't think, but unless if you're talking about the physical stores, maybe you're right. I don't have that. We don't have Warhammer stores here. I just have my local LGS, and I'm not giving Games Workshop credit for how my LGS conducts like customer service, but that's because they're not actual Warhammer stores. But maybe, like, if you're talking about Warhammer stores, like, in person, maybe you're right. Online, fuck no. But yeah, great models is definitely... The bar is tripping hazard in hell now. Yeah. But you can rely on GW to actually give you your shit, and it's decent model kits. Like, the plastic kits are really solid. Most of the time. There are the monopose kits, and there are some kits that look ugly. But you don't get these kind of same issues. If you ever have an issue, they go above and beyond to fix it, and the stores are usually good, at least in the UK. Again, we don't have them here, so I can't... on that front, I can't agree because I don't have it here. And I'm sure in-person stores do take it seriously. But here, no. They have terrible customer service to distributors, though. I wouldn't know too much about that. I'm not a distributor. But I would say my experience with their customer service, I don't have many experiences. I had one where I had to return a model kit like 4 or 5 years ago. They said they would replace it. For context, the problem was they were actually missing a whole like plastic sprue from the kit. And I actually didn't realize that for like 3 days. I thought I lost it. But no, I realized it wasn't in the kit to begin with, and I showed them that I didn't have it. They said they would replace it. That was the good side. The downside is they didn't for a long time. I had to email them an additional, I want to say 2 times before they finally acknowledged the prior emails, and then they said they would replace it, and then like another month after that, I finally got the replacement. So I did get the replacement. So in the long run, they did do what they say they were going to do. But I had to go through months of re-emailing them and re-explaining the issue and convincing them that I had already asked for a replacement and was already promised one before I finally got one. Now, in my case, maybe it was because I'm an American and that was like causing, like, the distance was causing issues, but that was my experience with their direct customer service on the miniature front. If we're including customer service with their PR, they suck ass. If we include their PR, like the Warhammer community page on like X and stuff, Warhammer, like Games Workshop sucks. I just realized we're on a really long tangent about Games Workshop here. I'm going to cut us off on this one, Vivek. Put a pin in it. Back to Trench Crusade.
But it's not only their resin range that has problems.
I did it again.
Because when I looked at their FDM printed terrain, I was actually shocked by how it was designed. Because nobody who actually knows anything about FDM printing...
Wait, what? What is that? Looks like, well, it looks like a paste, but let me... Is that glue? What? Sorry, my brain is not processing what that is. Is that glue? What is that?
Designed, because nobody who actually knows anything about FDM printing would support and...
Why did they print it like... Well, I'm sorry, not why did they print it like that. Why did they design it like that? Why is it one big piece? Granted, I get it would be frustrating to have like a dozen of those fuckers printed separately, but... Like, I don't know. I feel like, granted, it wouldn't look as natural, quote unquote, but I would design it more uniform than that. That looks like it would be held to print properly.
Print a model like they showed. They even published a tutorial how to remove the supports from the terrain.
By ripping, like, he's using pliers. By ripping them off the what the fuck? What's with that mesh? What is? Okay, granted, this is not this isn't resin. This is FDM printing, which I don't have as much. I don't have any experience with FDM printing. Okay. I'm going to let Janovich go, because he'll probably explain it.
Which leaves the bottom of the sandbags with this incredibly rough spaghetti texture, which is just completely brain dead, considering these parts would not need any supports in the first place if they had been designed correctly.
In a grim, dark world, sculpted by James Sheriff and some of the greatest creative minds in wargaming.
At this point...
Again, this is the most brutal hit piece of all, because it's just facts... It's coming from a genuine person, and he's letting their own words bury them. Oh, that I felt that. Oh, it's amazing how much that like I'm not even Trench Crusade that stung.
By James,
if they had been designed correctly,
just factually lays out all the bullshit, monotone, straightforward, like, hey, here, this is ass.
Grim dark
Then
world,
lets their words hurt
sculpted by
them.
James Sheriff and some of the greatest creative minds in wargaming.
Designed by this specifically named person and the greatest minds of wargaming, and they can't even get this right. Oh god, I don't know. Like, ooh.
At this point, I was just thoroughly convinced that despite their Kickstarter claiming they have industry veterans joining them, that either nobody knew what they were doing or they simply did not care. Whichever is the case, it remains that the quality control of this project is absolute trash. And by the point I'm making this video, it's several months later and there are still people who have not received their Kickstarter rewards, and the comments with issues like these keep streaming in like before.
While we are focusing ourselves on the Kickstarter, we want there to be new Trench Crusade stuff, because if we paid our attention purely on a new product, instead of making sure that the backers get their stuff as quickly as possible, that would slow it down.
This did not stop the devs from going on to develop a kit of plastic miniatures that they have already sent out to various influencer miniature channels, and is being sold before many of the supporters have received the stuff that has been promised to them.
I did hear about the plastic kit conversion thing. I also heard that they're not doing STLs anymore, right? That they're just going pure plastic now. And you know, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I heard that they're switching completely to plastic. Oh, Mini Wargaming Dave. Oh. This does not make him look good, man. I actually like Mini Wargaming Dave. He probably would hate my ass, but I actually like this guy and everything I've seen him in. He always has like awesome energy for the hobby. But this is...
So I've already sent out to various...
Yeah, Tabletop Minions. I don't like Tabletop Minions. That guy's well, I'll be nice, because granted, I haven't seen all his stuff. I don't know if he's ever been like genuine, but everything I've seen for Tabletop Minions, and this guy specifically, yeah, he's full of shit a lot of the time. Trench Titans, don't know them. I can't see who this is properly. That's Army Painter and someone called Metters Miniatures. I don't know them. But yeah, really I can only speak to Tabletop Minions.
Influencer miniature channels, and is being sold before many of the supporters have received
€39.99. I do not know what that is in American. What is that in real dollars? I'm going to do that real quick. 33. Well, let me do 40 because it's 40. 40 euro to dollars. All right, so that's $46.50. Just about. So that, you know, that's I would say, how many minis is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's like a squad right there. And to be fair, I think the actual scale of the game is like squad level, right? It's not platoon level, and I don't think it's company level or platoon level. I think it's squad level. I think it's kind of like kill team. So assuming it's roughly the size of a kill team, this is all you need to play. I would still say, though, just going off the miniature count, though, ignoring like the actual game size itself, $45 is a bit much, especially given how the quality is. I wouldn't pay. I wouldn't buy these to begin with by the quality reporting. But that pricing's a little on par with GW. A bit too on par with GW, if you ask me.
the stuff that has been
They still have STLs, but I think they're withholding them until they figure out how to prevent pirating. That's their biggest concern.
promised to them.
I was a poor kid in Finland once who really wanted to play war games. Not a cheap hobby normally. And I thought, I don't want to build a game that is a walled garden only for rich people.
And of course, in order for them to play, we had no miniatures. So we just said that you can now and forever use whatever miniatures you want.
To pour salt on the wound, Trench Crusade, despite very explicit earlier promises during the Kickstarter campaign that they would always support 3D printing and cherish that community, then announced that they will no longer be going forward with 3D printing STL files.
Okay, no, later in the song, they've nixed them. They're not doing, hold on, so I'm going to read these fully.
Then Kickstarter campaign.
Digital miniatures. We are big believers in 3D printing and what it brings to wargaming, especially to our community members who are located in regions that are expensive to ship to. Therefore, the entire range will be available. To quote, the entire range will be available as STLs, both unsupported and professionally pre-supported for you to print at home.
Campaign that they would always support 3D printing and cherish that community.
Third party and fan sculpts. One of the best things about Trench Crusade is the incredible community that have already grown around it. God, this is all aged like fine wine. This includes some amazing sculptors that have already put out some very cool miniatures. Like with conversions, these will always be completely legitimate. They even bolded it. Like with conversions, these will always be completely legitimate. They did everything but italicize and underline it. We want to support and encourage creators via a third-party license, which we'll be talking about more during this campaign. We even have some very exciting news on that subject, so keep an eye on the updates.
Community then announced that they will no longer be going forward with 3D printing STL files and will exclusively release plastic miniatures going forward, which are then also sold at Games Workshop
Welcome, rabbit
pricing.
holes.
So anyone who supported the Kickstarter with the idea that Trench
As a lot of you know, Trench Crusade got its start leveraging 3D printing technology via a very successful Kickstarter back in 2024. However, it immediately became apparent that 3D printing would not be able to keep up with the demand for the game and the growth of the community. They are so full of shit. Oh my god. So what is it? So is 3D printing this big thing that helped build this community, or is it not? Genuine question, because now they're like, oh, 3D printing isn't enough. 3D printing won't be able to keep up with everything, and 3D printing isn't, But before, you were like, oh, 3D printing is this major thing that's always been kept in mind for Trench Crusade, and it's always been intertwined with... I hate hypocrites. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. Oh. Trench Crusade is lame. They are fucking lame now. Holy crap. Like, you either backed 3D printing and it was enough to back the community, or it wasn't. And if it wasn't, why did you initially promise and support and build around the idea that you would actually be contributing to the fucking scene? But now, you're so full of fucking shit. They just want money. They're a bunch of greedy fucking pricks. Bunch of greedy fucking pricks. And here's the thing. It's fine to be a greedy fucking prick, but be so from the beginning. Say it. Say, hey guys, we want money. This is a business venture for us. We want to give you guys a cool setting and cool miniatures and a good product, but we want money. We're not supporting 3D printing because we want to make the max amount of profit, and we see the max amount of profit being done via our official models, via plastic kits. Start with that. You cannot unopen that Pandora's box when you initially promise, hey, we will always, and keep in mind,
Workshop
they put it in bold.
Very
Whatever for them to play.
promises during the
Like with conversions, these will always be completely legitimate, and that's regards to the 3D printing. One of the best things about Trench Crusade community is that we already grown around, is the incredible community around it. This includes some amazing sculptors, meaning for STLs, meaning for 3D printing, meaning you will support that community, and that you will provide these STLs yourselves as well as allow other people to provide their own. You made a promise. All your monies belong to us. Yes, apparently all our monies belong to them.
3D printing and cherish that community, and also sold at Games Workshop pricing. So anyone who supported the Kickstarter with the idea that Trench Crusade would continue releasing STL files has basically been lied to. I've seen people defending this.
Yes, they've just been lied to. Like basically, they have been. I mean, granted, basically, I don't know. Like it's just. How do you? Genuine question. And I guess like you guys can't answer it, to be fair, so it's more rhetorical to you guys. But feel free to respond to it all the same. How do you enter the space? You present a grimdark sci-fi or kind of sci-fi fantasy setting, similar in overall tone and somewhat aesthetic to 40K. You essentially are creating a competitor to 40K. And you are entering the wargaming space, so presumably you know of, if not know directly, 40K. You know Games Workshop. There's no way you know about Games Workshop and you don't know about their shitty reputation. You don't know about some of the worst aspects about them. There's no way you just miss all of that and then proceed to be them in a fraction of the time it took them to become what they are. Games Workshop took decades to be as open and honest about being the shit company that we all fucking despise, yet somehow buy shit from because they know they have a good fucking product and a good setting that they can ape on for the rest of eternity. But at least with them, they had a period of time where we didn't know that they were a shitty corporate greedy ass and company. They had a portion of time where they were either able to very easily hide it or they weren't actually that at their core originally. Whatever the case may be. How do you enter this space, get $3 million from the community, not an investor, but $3 million from the community? You make promises, you tell people shit, and then you proceed to keep none of it. You proceed to do every mistake Games Workshop has ever made with none of the fanfare and none of the legacy and nowhere near as much over time. Games Workshop became apparently shit over decades. How do you become apparently shit within months to a year for existing? How do you repeat every mistake that they've made? Games Workshop survived it because A, they initially got their start where the internet didn't exist or was in its most primitive form, so widespread community communication about the company in terms of its shittiness wasn't really possible. And again, they still had an awesome product and an awesome setting to work off of that the community was focused on rather than the company's antics behind the scenes. But in the internet age, especially when your company and your product is built off of the internet from Kickstarter and shit, how do you make this mistake? Not just this mistake, these mistakes. Plural. They fucked up with the community, with the 28 Mag Discord and their own Discord moderation, with siding with far-left lunatics, and switching to Blue Sky of all places, from shit-talking content creators in their very humble, braggy, convention thing there that they did. How do you fuck up on that front? You then fuck up all the normies with the actual quality of the product itself and breaking promises to everybody about the STLs and shit. How? And then with the plastic kit conversion, you fuck that up as well by saying you're discontinuing support for the STLs that you initially promised you'd always be in support of. But now you're switching to plastic and saying fuck you to everybody who wanted and expected quality resin printable STLs. Or FDM printables as well. How? I don't understand how you can make like one or two of those mistakes along the route. Absolutely, I could see being made. All of them in such a short period of time. I know Lady Runesong, and that's the other thing. I'm developing a tabletop war game completely by myself, but, well, I say completely. I have someone who's now willing to help me with the rules, but listen, I expect I'm going to fuck up with Warglaive Gothic. I do. I expect first edition is going to have problems. I'm fighting my ass off to make sure it won't be. But even at my worst, I don't think I'd make these mistakes. Not even half of them. I don't get it. I don't. Like one or two of these mistakes. Not all of them. Not even half of them. I'm getting upset.
By saying
I still got
it's
the
a
open mic
company
to do.
And moving to plastics is the only way to ensure their profits. But this doesn't really make sense. Either the 3D printing community is large enough to support them and continue making profits selling STL files, or the 3D printing community is so small that it wouldn't impact their plastic sales anyway. They cannot have it both ways. And we all know that it goes against what they have promised. Meanwhile, the long-awaited community license that they promised, which would outline ways for individual sculptors to sell their own Trench Crusade compatible models, has not been released yet. What makes this even worse is that they are now also working with an AI copyright enforcement company called Brand Shield, the very same one that Games Workshop is also working with. It has been
I need to hear that again. I'm sorry, I did not hear that right.
Copyright is that they are now also working with an AI copyright enforcement company called Brand Shield, the very same one that Games Workshop is also working with.
It's on purpose. It's on purpose. What I said before about how do you enter the space and not know about it? No. They know about GW's fuck ups. It's a checklist. Every GW fuck up, every GW misstep, every community FU GW has ever done. And Trench Crusade is like, well, we haven't done that one yet. Next, underline that shit. I gotta keep it going. I'm gonna keep it going. I'm gonna go on a rant if I don't.
It has been copyright striking a lot of sculptors for Trench Crusade minis for selling their models with terms like compatible with Trench Crusade, which I think is absolutely atrocious.
We are never going to give up on those principles.
I wish it all stopped there, but that's not all. The rulebook has been delayed a long time because the developers claimed that they wanted to absolutely make sure that it was perfect before being shipped out. In itself, that is fine. I bet a lot of people prefer to wait as long as the product is good.
Yes.
But the version they eventually did send out contained errors, so there had to be a day one errata addressing multiple issues. And also, it is by the developer's own admission already outdated the moment it arrived, because they updated the rules already. And the boxes that they shipped it in had no padding, so a lot of people's rulebooks now arrived with severe damage. So imagine you are one of these.
Okay. So, Conflict 47 from Warlord Games, right? They just re-released like a new edition of Conflict 47, right? I got the rulebook. You see those marks right there? That was me, because I dropped it. Otherwise, perfectly intact. No damage on any of the pages. Spine, perfectly healthy. Absolutely everything, perfectly fine. No water damage, no cracks, no damage, nothing. And again, if it weren't for me dropping it, these little corner marks wouldn't be there. I did that. When I pulled this out of the plastic box, perfect. It doesn't take much to package shit correctly. There's bubble wrap and foam. Granted, in bulk, expensive. But worth it, as long as you don't get a bad reputation for selling shit products. Now, granted, if that's the only damage to the books that he showed...
now arrived with severe damage.
Hold on. That's egregious right there. Look, like, because comparison, right? That's a little divot. This is from me dropping it on the floor, by the way. A concrete floor, not a rug. Barely a little indent. That looks like someone took a hammer to it. Like, look at how, like, bent inward that... It's like warping around. Like, that's a huge impact. I don't even know how they did that.
Because they updated the rules already. And the boxes that they shipped it in had no padding. So a lot of people's rulebooks now arrive.
And that looks like water damage to me. That or something else. Because that's not just like an impact damage. Like, look at that, like, discoloration. That looks like something else. Warlord Games. Okay? Conflict 47. If you're looking for a sci-fi grimdark or kind of grimdark setting, check them out. They're worth it. They are. I've got a painting video in the works for their Firefly USA infantry. And, yeah, like, I hope you guys are looking out for that video, because I really like Conflict 47. The only problem I have so far with the whole thing is the bases for the infantry are thin. Like, they're really thin. that is easily fixable if I buy my own bases, or I just simply pad those bases out with some like basing material. Other than that, fucking love their sculpts. I love it so far. I love the setting. I love the quality of the product. And again, if it weren't for me, the rule book would be in perfect condition. Like, I don't even know what caused that damage.
With severe damage.
I don't. And that looks like someone took a fucking sledgehammer to it. And granted, I'm reacting like I am right now because of all the other stuff. This is like, I'm not like this animated just because of some dent damage. It's everything like cascading. It's driving me nuts. Like the AI, and then the AI. Oh god, I'm sorry. I gotta keep going.
So imagine you are one of these Kickstarter supporters. You will spend several hundreds of euros on the campaign because it looks promising, because it had a lot of industry veterans working on it. What could possibly go wrong? Well, you've been patiently waiting like a year for your rewards, only for many miniatures to arrive damaged and some not to arrive at all. When you contact the Crusade developers about this, they tell you to contact their printing partner, who is already overloaded with emails and barely gives you any updates, so you have no idea when the rest of the models will arrive, or if they will even arrive at all. Meanwhile, the YouTube influencers have already been showcasing the plastic miniatures that they've received for free, and you have nothing. Maybe you have a 3D printer and were supporting the campaign so you can 3D print your armies. But now you got rug pulled because going forward Crusade will only release plastic models at high retail prices, locking you with your 3D printer out of any future armies added to the setting. So,
yeah, and now with the AI fucking thing that they're blocking people off from being able to print their own and sculpt their own, because it's one thing for it's already horrible enough for them to break a very overt promise. Hey, Guilty Hungry, hey, what's up, man? Oh, guys, Janovich himself. Well, it's his video. I think he's busy right now, or yeah. To be fair, I didn't invite Janovich on directly, but I usually don't with open mics. Usually, if I'm gonna like invite someone on specifically, they're free to come on for like the open mics, of course. But usually for a creator like this, even if I'm in contact with them, I usually will have like a separate thing where I will invite them on a dedicated interview if I wanted to do that, rather than invite them on the open mic. Because open mics I don't pre-schedule outside like within a few hours of doing one. I only decided to do this like 4 hours before doing it. So like usually I don't. Yeah, because it's too short notice to invite like a creator on for the open mic. But for an interview, I'll do like an extended like handout first. But yeah, with the AI stuff on top of it, like it's one thing. It's already horrible enough that they're discontinuing their STL support, but they're actively blocking other people from doing it by having an AI like legal company do it. Already horrible enough. Hey, poor orc child, welcome Ceiling Gato, and welcome to Nomadic Gaming. Almost as if it was a rag pull. I mean rug pull. Is definitely a rug pull. Whether they at this point it doesn't even matter if that was on purpose. It is a rug pull by practice, by end result. Any company like that is going to be anathema to fans if they aren't of the echo chamber mindset and openly hate anything remotely close to good customer service and business practices. Yeah. Nah, he's not on the, he's not on the, I figured that was your mix up, Greg. It's fine. I definitely say he's free to come on, and I will say if he were to hop in, I would pull him in to call first, but nah, I'm pretty sure he's asleep right now. I don't know exactly where Janovich lives, nor do I want to know. But I'm assuming it's somewhere in Europe, and it's pretty late right now for the Europeans. Yeah, let me get through this video, and then I'm gonna actually open the floor to the open mic for people to give their opinions, because you're getting mine already.
So instead you look to third-party sculptors, only to find several of them have been copyright struck and have their stores taken down for making miniatures that are compatible with Crusade, and the license that would allow sculptors to do that has still not been published. Then after long delays, the rulebook finally arrives. It arrived damaged, it contains errors, and is already outdated. The moment you have them on the gaming table ready for your very first battle of Crusade, one of them cracks and spills toxic liquid resin over your gaming table and waste the many hours you've spent painting it. And you have no way to know which models is at risk and when it could happen. All of this before many of the original Kickstarter supporters even had a chance to play the game to begin with. And to top it all off, Trans Crusade does not offer any refunds to the people who've had any of this happen to them. So yeah, I think all of this is extremely bad, and they've basically speedrun from what is initially meant to be an indie team making a fun tabletop with their own community into a full-blown greedy corporation willing to screw over the people who supported them. This is not just a matter of making a mistake here and there. It seems that at every turn the Trans Crusade devs make the wrong decision. Whether that means choosing a bad production partner or going back on their initial promises. One way or another, the people who've helped make this Kickstarter a success are paying the price. As unfortunate as it is, I think by this point, the developers no longer deserve the benefit of the doubt, and they need to set things right immediately. The first step in this is offering refunds, not just replacements or promises that your models will eventually arrive, but actually giving people who no longer want to support this their money back. The second step is to stop erroneously copyright striking sculptors, especially with automated AI tools, at least until the third-party license that has been promised officially is released, so people know what is allowed and what to avoid.
Oh wow, that cut off real damn quick. Yeah, they're not gonna do any of that. They're not gonna. Okay, let me wrap up my thoughts real quick, and then we'll get to the open mic. But they're not gonna do a damn thing of that. They're not. Like, they didn't go out of their... Like, they went out of their way to hire that AI copyright company. They went out of their way to do that. When you go out of your way to do that, you're not going to undo that. I have no idea what they paid either to get that service, but they're not undoing that. Doesn't matter how bad this looks. And this looks horrible, by the way. Like, I don't know how you bounce back from this. Well, I actually know. Correction, I do. Not narcissist, but the pessimist in me. Welcome, James Knight. Welcome, and also welcome the Carnophage. But the pessimist in me believes that the way they get out of this is they just simply pretend it's not happening, and then the simp aspect of their community, who have like a sunk cost fallacy, come in and defend them and stand by them and buy their shit. Because that is a huge thing. That's a huge reason why modern GW is still kind of thriving for the most part, is the simp community. A lot of people have when they invest a lot of time, energy, and emotion into something, they are incapable of cutting themselves off of it. Like, incapable. Like, there's a level of desperation and not dedication, but it's when you dependency. There's a huge dependency someone puts onto an IP or something like this, and I think a ton of people put so much investment behind it, both emotionally and financially, that there's no going back. There's simps for everything, and there's going to be simps for Trench Crusade. So the pessimist in me believes if there's enough of those, Trench Crusade's going to be fine. They're going to struggle because now the normies don't like them, but they're going to be fine if there's enough simps. If there's enough people with that sunk cost fallacy, whether it's emotional or financial or both, they'll survive. Unfortunately, doesn't matter how objectively bad they are, there will be people who will not let that go. They will make 1,000,001 excuses for them. Oh God, that was brutal to watch. I mean, granted, like, for me, like, I at least have the personal, like, disconnect that this is not like some, and again, I avoided, thankfully, putting money forward for the Kickstarter. But I was so close to doing it, like, I'm still, like, in that mindset of, like, if I had put that money in, how mad would I be right now? Thankfully, I'm not that mad. I'm mad overall at the circumstances and everything and, like, all that, but I can only imagine how rageful I would be if I actually had money lost in this shit. Wow. Yeah, that was great video from Janovich. He broke down a lot, and a lot of that, like, I had gotten from, speaking with him myself. And I figured that was what was in the video, but having now finished and watched the video fully, and I left a comment based like before watching it, but like what's actually in the video is worse. Now I want to leave another comment having watched it. Being like, holy crap, I didn't know about this, but like, wow. Holy crap. All right, that's it for the video portion. Make sure to like and subscribe, all that fun stuff, and make sure to check out Janovich's original video. And now on to the open mic. Yeah, okay. All right, so the open mic is open. Let me pull in my first caller, and again, the link to the call line Discord is going to be found in the description of the stream. Feel free to click on that, and again, you don't have to stay in that Discord. You don't have to stay at all. It's perfectly fine if you just want to hop in just for the sake of the open mic. We'll be happy to have you. All right, first caller. That's Rats. Can you hear me?
I can certainly hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, let me double check that OBS is picking you up.
1, 2, 3, I guess.
Yep, it's getting you. Okay. So, how you doing today, first and foremost?
Oh, still fending off an invasion of Nurgle, but we're getting there.
Okay, I'm sorry you're sick. Actually, a lot of my friends are sick. Like, it's
The
you and a
seasonal
couple others.
virus hit something fierce. Like, on New Year's Eve, high fever, had to pass out immediately.
Eesh. I hope you feel better soon.
Yeah, it's already been just this nasty cough I need to get rid of.
Well, as for the topical question, so what are your thoughts on the Janovich video and the overall Trench Crusade stuff going on?
Well, as usual, Jano is just the main man. He says it as it is, and spotless, in my opinion. In terms of Trench Crusade, it's not really something that appealed to me, so I never got on the bandwagon with it, but I am still severely disappointed by the fact that this was a chance for another point of competition against Games Workshop. Especially, I was very interested in the whole, we're actually going to sell STL files of our miniatures, and this was going to be a perfect opportunity for, see, James, this is a customer-friendly practice that still makes money because it's friendly to the consumer. So you can also start implementing it, probably. But no, and just severe disappointment. See, like you said, I haven't invested any money or even interest in this thing, and still I feel ripped off.
I know, like I know there's a term for it. It's like when you have like a shadow pain, like you know what it's like to be in that seat, so you still feel like the backlash of it. But like actually suffering the consequences on it, like I can't imagine how some of the Kickstarter folks are feeling.
Scarcely, man. And doubly so when there are so many excellent examples of miniature companies that do this, right? Like, for example, I don't know if you're familiar with them, Acheron Studio.
I'm
The
not.
guys who made they're a bunch of cool Polish guys, I guess. First benefit, they tend to do good work. They made Heroes of Might and Magic 3 into a board game. 2 separate Kickstarters, which I both backed. I have basically everything. And the moment I saw the whole damaged goods that arrive with people, I'm like, how? Like, with Acheron Studio, to just use as an example, all the stuff fits snugly into the box that they, very hard cardboard that they package stuff in, and they have these, like, plastic corner guards put on all the boxes. I have them, like, in a stack here if it's audible, because I might use them for terrain and some stuff, but it's such a simple and incredibly cheap solution, where just stick a little bit of plastic on the corners and protects things so well. All my stuff came in perfect quality from both Kickstarters, so to see something that was a lot more successful than them, had a much greater reach, just cheapen out like that, it is absolutely astonishing, and not in a good way.
Yeah, I can you DM me a link to their website? This other group.
Acheron Studio, sure, I can go.
I'm actually curious to not to drag on stream, just for like my own like interest later.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I will definitely be supporting them in future because they're also making StarCraft into a board game with like very decent rules.
Oh
so
wait,
I'm
they're the
looking
group
forward to
doing
that.
that?
Yep.
Damn. Okay. Like, oh yeah, definitely interesting. Because like I heard that StarCraft is being turned into a tabletop game. I wasn't aware like it was the same studio we're talking about now. But okay.
Yeah, and initially, obviously, I would have been skeptical, but I have one of their products in full, and it's simply supreme quality that I'm very much so glad to promote.
Yeah, I mean, awesome. Yeah, I mean, like it's.
So
Oh, okay.
realistically, there isn't much to say anymore. It's just you. Okay, you have industry veterans with you. You've got a concept that a lot of people vibed with and wanted to invest themselves in, both
That
emotionally and financially, and you got such a successful Kickstarter out of it. How do you fumble the ball so hard and just essentially you distill all the nastiness from GW and take up all.
exactly do you agree with me with my analogy that it almost feels like they looked at like the worst mistakes GW has made over the years and they almost turned it into a checklist?
Very much so. You nailed that on the head.
It's ridiculous.
Like, you could have at least tried to build some rapport with your audience before ripping them off like that. You know, you could have at least maybe attracted someone to make something like Astartes for your setting before you decided to shoot yourselves in the foot like that. But what do I know? I don't have a successful Kickstarter, so.
And that's actually another thing, like and I might add this as a question for everybody, but since you brought it up here, like with this like series of fuck ups and now this reputational like destruction that they've done for themselves, do you think that they've burnt that bridge for people like myself who are interested in like creating a new tabletop war game, or not even just a tabletop war game, but a similar board game with miniatures now? Do you think they've burnt that bridge now where people are kind of going to be like assuming that a Kickstarter like this is going to be faulty going forward? Because Trench Crusade looked about as legit as it gets, right? It had everything going for it, and it's turned
Yeah,
out
see,
to be a fuck up.
I would personally think that at least with more sane people who actually pay attention to this stuff, that specifically the creators of Trench Crusade have burned that bridge. Now, you said there you didn't want to bring politics, but there is the factor that a lot of people have signed on with them to own the chuds, as they say. So they are going to have that angle for income, at least in some way. As
Yeah,
for
but I don't
whether
think that's gonna make
all,
up like out of like the $3 million
it's
they got
definitely
for
not.
backing. I'd say maybe 10 to 20,000 of that backing was from standing up to the chuds. Vast
Oh yeah,
majority
it's
was
definitely
normies,
not going
was people who
to.
didn't care or didn't have an investment in the culture or war stuff.
Exactly. With the normie crowd, at least if I was, I wouldn't purchase anything from them ever again just by seeing what they're doing. Okay, stuff damaged in shipping, that's livable. The stuff with the resin traps, where your models can explode into toxic goop on you at any moment. What? Since when is this supposed to be an actual health hazard in terms of a hobby? That sounds like heavily illegal to me to be sending stuff like that out or even making STLs for it that are potentially harmful like this.
I'm sure there is like safety procedures and laws that they're breaking. I couldn't speak to it specifically. I know that with 3D printing on its own, it is a hobby that comes with like those warnings, because when you do SLA printing, when you actually do the printing yourself, I should say,
Hmm.
like obviously, I don't know how it works
Yeah.
law wise. I'm not a legal expert, so I couldn't even fathom exactly the regulations around it. But my assumption is because they're not shipping with the intent or with the product in a toxic state. Because keep in mind, the resin bubbles are inside the miniature that are invisible, and they only become visible after a time where either, and again, I don't know the exact chemical reaction, it's either the toxic fumes that the resin is itself generating, or it's the liquid resin is somehow corroding the cured resin that is formed the miniature. But the key thing is that can take like weeks to months to happen. So when they ship it, when they ship it, it's not in that toxic state, and when the person opens the box from shipping, my assumption is as long as the miniature at that point is not busted open and is in that toxic state, I don't think any law has been broken technically. But again, I'm not a legal expert. I don't know if that's true. I could be dead wrong. But that would be my suspicion. But I'd have to ask a lawyer.
Yeah, I guess it's just it is very much so not something any business would want to be
Oh
associated
hell
with.
no! Like it's very dangerous. Like that point alone should get them a lot of bad press. The fact that it's tied in with so much other negative, it is baffling.
Sincerely, I hope that all of this very rightfully deserved bad press stays with them specifically, rather than spilling into all Kickstarters being such a because to reference again Archon Studio, there's Kickstarters that actually fulfill their pledges to the T and even go above and beyond with it and are excellent to work with. These guys appear to be uniquely incompetent and malicious, I would even argue, with how they've developed the situation as presented in Janovich's video. So it's a case of I want the bad press to stick because it is rightfully deserved, but
Right.
I don't want it to infect other creators that might want to expand into the field. Like, for example, yourself, since you probably will be making some kind of Kickstarter, I'm guessing, when you're officially
No.
launching your...
Oh,
you don't?
I wanted to do a Kickstarter, but I don't want to do one now. Not just because of Trench Crusade. I'm not gonna say Trench Crusade is not a factor. It is, but it's like 5% of my reasoning. It's just Kickstarters in general have like a really bad rep, and I don't want Warglaive attached to that. I'd rather really, 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 really slowly develop it over time, and then just sell the product when it's ready to go, rather than do one big Kickstarter, do a bunch of promises, and I would do my best to keep them, but it's just, again, I think making a Kickstarter would almost be a bad reputational move, because I think the assumption would be it's a scam. Like that's at least my own opinion with Kickstarters. I've supported Kickstarters as well. Just to give an example. One such example would be Berserker, like the graphic novel series with Keanu Reeves. I got all the digital versions of this. I supported this with like $150 tier or so back like years ago, back in 2017, I think 2018, 2017, I think. And I backed it. I got the hardcover graphic novels. I still got them in the original plastic. I got the signed versions as well. It's kind of hard to see, but I got the signed versions. And
Oh, that's excellent, and I understand your mentality behind it, but I think that at least the Kickstarter, or at the very least crowdfunding platforms in a way, are a field that we should fight over to at the very least show that it's an avenue where people like ourselves can show that we are actually trustworthy enough to be uh, to win customers, if not love, then at the very least uh, interest in such a way. As Janovich himself, he also did a Kickstarter for his board game Iron Resolve, which is also splendid, and everything was set up and made to a T, high quality. And I cite him also as an example of a great Kickstarter that delivered on everything that was intended. And so I just think that, yes, it is very much so a potential hazard for a product to be considered a scam by this way. But crowdfunding is a useful tool,
it is.
and personally,
I'm
I
not
think
like
that it ought to be used.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying like people shouldn't still try and kickstart. For me personally, it's just I fear, and maybe I'll change my mind, but like as it stands currently, with my own personal fears with it, is I am starting. Actually, I've passed the point of starting. I now, unfortunately, like my very first thought when I see a new Kickstarter, whether it's wargaming or it's like a new board game or card game, whenever I see a Kickstarter, I've seen and experienced so many fakes and so many screw ups for Kickstarters that my assumption isn't like this is going to be awesome, this is going to work out. My assumption is I immediately am suspicious, and I don't like the idea that, like, for example, my tabletop war game Warclave would I don't want anyone to ever feel that for Warglaive. I don't want someone to look at the Kickstarter page and be like, well, is this actually going to be something, or is this someone milking for money? Or is there going to be a bunch of promises and he's only going to legally, technically fulfill them and then run away with the money? I don't want anyone to feel that way about it. And that's like a fear I have.
Perfectly understandable. It's a valid fear to have, because especially the more stuff like Trench Crusade crops up, the more the general customer base is going to be more wary. I guess it's a case of there needs to be examples of it working, and I guess for the customers in general to pick the things they want to support better, rather than something shiny and giving money to it willy nilly. To look a bit into behind the scenes what the people doing a Kickstarter actually are about. At least with Archon Studio, they have a very solid reputation. Janovich, though this is more a personal anecdote, which I would say is even better, he is a man who delivers. And from what I've seen of your work on Warglaive, it is stuff you make the good shit.
Thank you.
And you actually put in the effort into it. So it is something that I would, as a customer, entrust you with my support for. But it's not something that to be pushed, and you're setting your decision. But if anything, the bad apples need to be pruned in this case. So hopefully the bad press sticks properly. And I know it's in bad faith to not to wish ill upon others, but with such colossal level of fuck up and just maliciousness towards the customer, towards people who willingly gave them their faith and support for this project because they saw value in it, and to be rug pulled like that, and no, you need to have the stick applied.
Oh yeah, and I agree. And the thing is, I wouldn't even say it's like bad faith, like as a term. Like I associate that when it's like unearned, or like when it's like hollow. Like they've earned every bit of bad reputation they've got right now, and I really do think that they definitely deserve to suffer for these. And I agree, this needs to stick. I hope that it does. I hope that this does stick, because let's say even tomorrow, let's say they undo a lot of this stuff. I don't think people should let it slide. And I have a lot of bad experience with that, because I've seen that happen a lot. Is when a company fucks up, and then, like, for example, Dark Tide, right? Dark Tide, a lot of people love it right now, especially in the 40k community. But when it came out, absolute piece of shit. Like when you see my live stream when I streamed it when it came out, it was terrible. The DCs were absolutely ridiculous. The servers were about as unstable as it gets. There was a lot of mechanical issues. That was undercooked. The one thing that was working smoothly was the cash shop.
Yeah, but the cash shop was working
just fine. But the thing is, with how bad that launched, they should have also had sticking consequences. They haven't had any. Dark Tide is fine. It's now considered like loved almost at this point. Actually, with some people it is loved. It's a lot of people's favorite 40k game actively right now. I went on a live stream and I shit talked its launch, and I had someone bite my head off because I dared speak ill of its launch. So there is a huge chunk of people who are what I would call toxically forgiving.
Yeah.
And I fear that that might apply here.
In the case of Dark Tide, though, as a comparison, I think there is the factor of accessibility, because a video game on Steam is significantly easier to access and get into, and is a lot less investment, if not financially, then at the very least, emotionally, time-wise, and just setting everything up, than a board game where you need to first get the miniatures, assemble them yourself, and paint them. So the way I see it is that Dark Tide is something that has easy way to get big outreach, and for people to just casually stick around that helps them, while a actual war game like Trench Crusade, that is a lot more investment heavy on all fronts compared to a simple video game. So with that, it's more liable for the negativity to stick, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's
especially
fair.
Given that it's hazardous to health.
Yeah. I mean, I hope you're right. I just seen a lot of bad examples lately, but let's hope it does stick. I do need to move to the next caller, but I want to really thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Certainly, always a pleasure talking with you. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you. All right, gonna pull in next caller real quick. Let me eyeball the chat. Is there anything I need to respond to? Oh, looks like Greg left. Guilty Hungry. That's fine. Hopefully he's having a good night. Total Warhammer 3 came out in a terrible state, even though there were 2 games prior. People are still hyped about Total War 40k. Yeah. I am well aware, Karn. Again, it goes to what I said. There is a... maybe I'm coining this term. I don't know if anyone's ever said this before, but I know I've never heard it before outside of myself, but there is a toxically forgiving community. There are people out there who are way too willing to forgive massive fuck-ups and let it slide. And there's a lot of examples of that. Alright, so let's pull in Nico. Nico, my boy, from Iceland.
Hey.
How you doing?
I am doing wonderful. Hang on, let me mute the TV because I had you in the background.
Mm.
I'm doing wonderful. Just been hearing your points about Trench Crusade and all that.
Mm.
It's always good. Always good to hear. Well, my biggest issue with Trench Crusade, right? Beyond the mountainous fuck-ups that you have mentioned so far, with all their modelings and printings and all that, my major issue with Trench Crusade has to do a lot with the with how the company basically trying to find moral equivalency with the demons and with humanity, trying to find like the moral like gray area between the two. The major issue I have, and I have been looking into just right now, I've been looking into Trench Crusade's own lore, from their own pages, right? Because I don't like the idea of misinterpreting their own work, right?
Mm.
So I made a little list here, right? Because I wanted to see, okay, maybe there is a bit of complexity, because I didn't know. So let me just list it off. The whole argument of demons can be good. My counterpoints would be, number one, this is the classic one, they literally attach babies to their belts. Yeah, very moral indeed in some parts of the world. Suicide is a mortal sin, as everyone know, but it is eagerly embraced, right? That by itself is self-explanatory. Who exactly, they view suicide in a positive light? What is flat out evil? But okay. Maybe there's something more. They cast their firstborns into the mouth of burning statues such as Baal, and human flesh is sold by the pound in dreadful markets. Which, first off, how exactly are new citizens introduced to the populace, if there even is such a thing? And there's an economy with the demons? How and why? But anyway, yes, and then there's also men and women prostrate themselves before idols and carve layers of their own flesh as offerings. Captives, over the span of agonizing days, if not weeks, are slowly sliced to death at sacrificial altars with wicked knives made of infernal basalt. I'm just wondering, is there any options for captives? I didn't see any in that. Sorry, were you going to say something, or?
Yeah, I was about to ask. So just to confirm, has the people at Trench Crusade themselves said that there is that moral grayness with the demons?
Well, from what I remember, this is back. This was a long time ago.
I know that it was
maybe
implied, there was an implication, but I don't.
It was
know if they
heavily
ever explicitly said it.
Maybe not explicitly said, but it was heavily implied. And I do remember that Arch made a video about moral, what was it? Equivalencies. I don't know what the word is. Sorry, but I just think I think it's just completely ridiculous because I don't see the complexity here.
Yeah, I don't see it either. It's about as cartoon. Actually,
No.
Cartoonishly evil implies there's the absurdity is humorous. The absurdity here isn't even humorous. It's just it's just, well, don't get me wrong. For a grimdark setting with a definitively bad and a definitively good side, it works.
Mm.
Like you're making
Mhm.
one side so cartoonishly evil that
Mhm.
it almost hits that line of turning back around and being crazy funny again. But it's almost gratuitous. I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, it's very gratuitous, and I don't really. It's just because the thing is like, okay, for all criticism you can levy at Orm 40k, right? The one thing that I will say is that there is actual complexity with chaos, right? So, for example, with say the Inquisition, right? You have what is it called? The Santism, or what was it called? Where the idea is that you would try and fight chaos with chaos. Has that proven to work? Surprisingly, it has. It's very difficult, and the powers of chaos and the warp has been shown to be useful to humanity. Of course, that itself has risks because the more you know about the machinations of chaos and the warp, the more of its influence you are attracting, of course, to yourself, and you can you could be in severe danger, all that. And it's just that little thing is a little bit of complexity, right? There's obviously a much more you can have, but I just don't see the complexity at all. I mean, hell, I don't even see how there are even really. I don't see how any human forces could even really join them.
Yeah,
unironically, because let me just quote real quick, because this is where I flat out just I hit my head on my desk reading this. Okay, this is how they join the armies of damnation. Quote, joining the army of damnation is no easy task. Those who wish to win a place amongst the heretic legions must make an unholy pilgrimage to the burning bronze gates of hell, where even from leagues away, the infernal heat sears both flesh and spirit until the pain becomes unbearable. Right? In the Valley of Tears, the great road that leads to the gate, paved as it is with veiling souls and lamentation, is littered with endless mounds of charred corpses. Many are still half alive, writhing in agony, trapped in a grotesque twilight between life and death. Their wickedness deems insufficient. These disregarded souls are doomed to writhe in agony until the day of judgment. Unquote.
Okay, so with all that being said, I feel like anyone who tried to make or tries to make like a comparison saying, well, it works at 40k with the chaos gods in the chaos space. No, it doesn't, because the gratuity the gratuity of how evil and don't get me wrong, it's appropriately evil because it's supposed to be. This is like biblical Satan. This is biblical hell. So it should be this horrible. It's correct, but for a tabletop war game where people can play the bad side, you need to give the bad guys something fun about them. This is crossed the line of gratuity that chaos and 40k doesn't. Don't get me wrong. There are stories and books that do go into like this level of gratuity for chaos, but it's not as overt. Like if you read the synopsis for chaos, it's not this gratuitous. Like it's more focused on like their direct hatred of the Emperor and hatred of other Space Marines. Like you look at for example, the World Eaters. They are nowhere near this gratuitous. And that's saying something, considering their whole thing is blood and skulls. But like there's no massive emphasis on them collecting and crushing up baby skulls and then making like all of that is in the books. All of that is in like subtext, but it's not the advertising photos, right? It's not like it's not part of their synopsis page. You actually have to read into their internal lore to get that nitty gritty, like gross parts. Trench Crusade is putting that on their actual their core descriptor.
Yep.
Like this isn't hidden in like the narrative of a book or like a short story. This is specifically the outline.
Yeah, and by the way, that little summary that I just told you, that's directly from the Trench Crusade's own lore page on the Heretic Legions, right?
Oh, God.
And then I found a little snippet here, and because I'm not going to be here for too long, right? I just
No,
want
that's
to
fine.
show you the last little snippet. And this is what just one demon, right? Moloch, right? This is just what one demon does as part of the heretic legions. Quote, thus Moloch is known as the devil that bathes in the blood of children and the tears of their mothers, to quell the envy that gnaws at his very being in his palace of the sixth circle of hell. Unquote. Bathes in the blood of children and the tears of their mothers. It's fucking ridiculous.
Hey, who wants to play as the demons today, guys? The thing is, like, it's like you don't even need to be Christian, like I am, and I would never play the demon side. Like, it's well, I
Oh,
could
no.
if they were like a more like fun fictional idea of like demons and stuff, like 40K does it. 40K makes it a
Yeah.
bit more fun. This is like, let's make this accurate to like biblical evil, but let's be as so accurate that it's unfun and unfathomable to want to play that side. Like it's yeah, for people to want to play a villain, you need to give something that's fun about the villain. And granted, that's hard
Yeah.
to do when you're working with biblical demons to begin with, but usually the way to do it is you leave out the worst parts. You leave them implied, but you don't put them in the descriptor. You imply them and you leave them at that at most, but then you'll focus on like the devil horns and the red skin, and you focus on like the edgy heavy metal parts, you know, the ones that make
like the
everybody the aesthetic.
Yeah, like it's the aesthetic of it all, right?
Yeah.
And which is which all of that would be fun, but this is just they're actually like unironically taking the grisly descriptors and trying to sell this to you. But the thing is with the heretic legions, this is like the last point before I go. So within the map, right? Within the map of Trench Crusade, right?
A shitty ass map.
Beyond being just a shitty ass map,
Looks like it was made in Incarnate.
Yes. The demons are almost completely surrounded. There are several sections where demons are completely surrounded with small segments here and there that the Christian forces, right? They could absolutely just surround them and beat them out. And I don't know why they haven't already.
Yeah, like like you look at the map, you would never assume it's a grimdark setting.
No.
You'd assume it was like a more like. Well, no, even Diablo's edgier than that, because in Diablo, the portals show up everywhere. No, it's even less grimdark than Diablo. Like you would assume it was just a nothing burger.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
why don't they just hyper focus on those spots and bomb them to hell, literally, and then close the gates, or figure out a way to make it so passing back through the gates for the demons was nigh impossible.
Yeah, exactly. Like you would think there would be spots where the demons would be more spread out and have a bigger place of influence. Because of course you can, because that would imply that the demons are like this encroaching force that are, putting humanity and Christianity on the back burner. Or the they are, they're constantly on alert, right?
Yeah.
Which wouldn't make sense, but this is just not the case.
No. Yeah, they have. I think someone's who said it best on Janovich's video. Someone left like a comment. Let me quote it. Oh yeah, it's the top comment. An entire campaign hard carried by one guy's concept art. That's really what it is. Because think about it. Everything outside of that artwork, like those concept arts that got us all interested initially, take that away. And we look at what they've actually produced for narrative and for like the setting, like actual world building, like the map or like the synopsis of the factions or characters and things like that. Everything has completely failed. It's completely failed to establish the grimdark setting and make it interesting to play both sides. They've only made it like if you're someone with any level of like sanity, why would you want to play the devil faction? Because I would have said it's because they're like the gross, like nurgly looking guys, but the backstory of them is they're just biblical evil, like literally, like there's nothing redeeming whatsoever. They didn't even throw anything in. They just said, "Hey, let's take actual demons from biblical hell and put them on Earth, and we'll make nothing like we'll tone nothing down about that and make nothing like actually gray about them. They're just demons, and then say that both sides equally bad."
It's ridiculous.
To who?
Yeah. It's like with all the treatments that these demons commit to the populace, like who would what sane person ever would willingly join this? Not to mention it's like they're overrun, like, but also it's like, okay, we're dealing with the forces of, hell and of course heaven with God and all that. Like at this point, like faith isn't really like, it's not a matter of faith anymore. It's about your allegiance. Like, do you prefer, humanity, despite the fact that, there might be some hardships there, which obviously is supposed to be part of the grimdark setting, or do you just flat out join the demon factions with every horrible connotation that has? I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Who would willingly choose that? But yeah.
Ah, God. Yeah,
it is. Anyway, I think that'll do it for me. But always fun to talk.
Thank you
talk with you, man.
Yeah, nice talking with you too. Thank you so much for coming on, Nico.
Pleasure. See ya, man.
See ya. Yeah. Fuck. Nico makes a lot of good points there. Yeah, even if we take away like the drama and the terrible product, it's also the setting is so terrible, so poorly thought out. Oh, God. All right, we're going to pull in the next caller real quick. Let me eyeball the chat. Hi, yes, the patron demon of abortion. Oh, God. Excuse me. Just want to do my art. Yeah. It isn't morally gray when the creators claim the clearly super evil side are actually good, and the proxy for IRL Christians who are evil is clearly picking sides with no gray. Yeah, I mean, like, they didn't think it through. They really didn't. And that comment at the top of Janovich's video really is true. An entire campaign hard carried by one guy's concept art. That's insane. Hey, baby. You have a good nap? I am swimming. I do have my camera on. Want me to hold in? Yeah, this is my my girlfriend's a plushie. She doesn't like to be on camera, so she's putting on a cozy. What's it called?
I call it a blanket cozy.
Blanket cozy. Okay. You don't need to hide.
I want to.
Okay. Well, there's in. Okay. Oh, you gotta go pee. Okay. I'll put your blanket over here. I'll hold on to it. All right. We'll pull in our next caller, Litany. Litany, can you hear me, brother? You cannot because you're muted. Unmute yourself.
I had double muting apparently. My bad.
That's all right. I can hear you.
Well, excellent. Finally.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Just trying to cope with all this development with Trench Crusade.
Yeah. Well, remind me, were you one of the backers, or I thought there was somebody on this server who was?
I was almost a backer.
Okay,
almost.
like me, you're almost okay.
Yeah. I was, but not necessarily because I initially wanted to. More like I had friends at the time who were really into the idea of Trench Crusade, and were like, "Hey, we should play together." I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can pledge a bit, so we can all play together as a group." The group completely distanced themselves, but that's another matter. But so I never got into it, and as I said, it was mostly a thing of the group wanted to play, so I joined the bandwagon almost. But ultimately, it came down to that I didn't really like the setting, even a little bit.
Mm.
It has an interesting premise, a potential, but ultimately it came down to that what they were selling wasn't what they were selling, if you get what I mean.
No, I do. I get that.
Like, as Nico described it as before, as an example, like, they describe it as the Christianity is pushed in on all fronts, from demons and the.
I mean, the artwork certainly implied that too, didn't it? Like every piece of artwork. Like if you
Yeah.
asked me what the map of the world looked like based on the initial artwork, long before they actually
Yeah.
made that map, I would have said, "Oh, like humanity's like in these little tiny pockets surrounded by like hellscapes."
Exactly.
When that map came out,
Yeah.
I was like, "This isn't Trench Crusade."
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like, I was sold the idea of humanity on the last legs fighting off against the forces of hell. I was like, okay, that's actually kind of cool. I saw the map. The fuck? What are you telling us here? This doesn't make sense. And what else doesn't make sense is, apparently, from what I understand, the boot is that Christianity has units that by no reason should be able to lose against anything the demons have.
You'll have to educate me on that one. I don't know about all the
I don't
unit
remember. I don't
differentials.
remember the exact details, so forgive me. But from
Mhm.
what I understand, Christianity has a golem-like, basically a Imperial Knight like unit, a huge golem with machinations, and it's apparently impervious to all but the most extreme weaponry that the demons have. So, remind me how they're losing when they have that shit.
Hmm. I have no idea.
Like, it is as both you and Nico
Well,
said.
one
Like,
would assume that
didn't
they
have a
had
plan.
like a demon equivalent or something bigger and stronger. Would be like the
mean, you'd
safe assumption. But I
think.
don't know all the unit breakdowns because I dropped off
Oh.
before getting that nitty gritty.
Mm.
I just assumed that they would have like for every like human invented thing to fight back against the demons would have something bigger, tougher, and faster or stronger.
Yeah, you'd think, but apparently that's not the case, because this golem-like thing is described as being practically impervious to everything.
So with that, it does really sound like, from the devs' perspectives, the demons are our protagonists, despite the
Yeah.
overt evil that they are, which is absurd.
It's
That like
insane.
it's one of two things, and neither are good. They either are siding with the demons and they see them as like the good guys or like the main characters, right? To them, despite writing them as literal baby killers, like swimming in mother's tears in the bodies of orphans, like literally making them biblical evil demons.
Yep.
Or they're
Yeah.
so fucking stupid and they didn't even bother to come up with the lore or the concept of the setting before hiring an artist to just invent shit. Like what was this is me being kind, right? Like this is me taking a bit of a devil's advocate kind of stance. When they first made that artwork and when they first started working on Trench Crusade, it is feasible that when they started that their mentality was, oh, well, we have an idea generally for what the setting is, but we don't really want to focus too much on the lore. We're here for the actual game and the aesthetic, and we'll do the lore later for like if there's enough interest. But the problem is as soon as that interest hit, when the moment that their Kickstarter was starting to get over $500,000, let alone $3 million, which is what they got, they should have immediately hired an author and someone to really flesh it out immediately, because they should have known from that point on, we have a banger here, and people are going to want more to this than an aesthetic and then a couple miniatures.
Yeah, exactly. And as Pierce here in chat says, sorry for calling him out. He's actually right on the dollar with this one. I think the artist made the stuff first and then tried to tack on a setting tabletop game afterwards. That's exactly what they did. They said as much. They got an artist to draw cool shit and then decided to let's make something out of this.
Yeah,
they
so
had no plan.
Yeah, so
it was never a plan.
No one had a plan. No one had a strategy.
No.
Yeah, like yeah. But that almost makes it worse, because that means they had to rush a story or rush like a lore explanation for everything together.
Yeah.
And to rush to do it, they decided in a panic to add the detail that these were biblical demons to the extent of being biblically as evil as you could possibly be, when they also at the same time wanted a tabletop war game where they would want people to play both sides.
Yeah, but what
They
else?
like
I don't know.
most people would have put in less work and would have said, okay, they're biblical demons, but we're gonna tone back a little bit on like the worst parts, and we're gonna add this tiny little bit of grayness into them. Like make them biblical demons, but add in your own fiction of their not being necessarily a redeemable aspect, but a relatable aspect for like a like that. That's what works for Chaos and 40K. Like people
Yeah.
like Chaos are evil, but there's elements that you can see someone falling for in like each layer.
Like even Slanesh, the most depraved one, is all about, hey, do this because it will bring you happiness, and then it just escalates from there.
Yeah, well, with these demons, it's like nothing. It's like oh, you choose to side with them, you get eternal suffering, pain, and agony.
Yeah. I think Nico also talked two things I want to mention. The specific also is that first upon Nico, I believe he talked about what it takes to be a Heretic Legion soldier to begin with. Did he?
I think you went into that, yeah. Hold on, Karn just sent me an image. Apparently they have clones of Jesus.
They do.
Wait, I've seen this artwork.
is-
This is supposed to be Jesus?
I mean, it's sacrilegious as shit, but hey.
I mean, we are we already passed that line.
Yeah.
Like we passed that line a while ago.
Quite. But yeah, apparently most of the Heretic Legion's armies consist of mortals and only a few demons, because if demons come over to the mortals realms, to our Earth, then the accords or whatever are broken, and this open war from heaven and the hell. So most of their armies are human, maybe some demon engines and such. But if that's the case, how are they so many? Because as they describe, only the most evil and wretched men can even begin to look at that gate. You basically gotta be the most evil tyrants we've ever seen on the world just to be able to look at it.
Yeah.
And that immediately makes me think that they realized that they never had a plan. There was never anything close to it.
No, they
And
really flew. They really like. I'm almost impressed because think about that. They had no plan. They threw all this shit together, but they did so in just convincing enough way that they got away with $3 million.
yeah, you gotta give kudos to that, if nothing
Well,
else.
you don't need to give them kudos, but you do need to recognize
you know
that
what I mean.
they like. I would say this is a teaching moment, but I'm actually again the inner pessimist in me, which I admit sometimes takes over a bit too often. But I kind of fear that people aren't going to learn from this.
They aren't, probably not.
It's like ask questions, you know, really.
Toxic positivity, as you said before.
Yeah, well, toxic forgiveness as well. Like
That was it. Yeah.
like people can royally fuck people over. And listen, I understand being forgiving. Like if someone fucks up and then they genuinely apologize and genuinely turn around and try and fix it, and they try and fix it the right way, then yeah, be forgiving. Like No Man's Sky, I think they did that the right thing. Like they didn't ask for any more money. They didn't ask for any more like olive branches. They just earned the olive branches. They came back, they updated it, and they tried to fix the game to be somewhat what they promised. But there's a lot of examples where a studio continued asking for money, continued just expecting support and things like that, and people like who rightfully got pissed at the lack of apology and the lack of accountability. And then because they kind of fixed it later, like with Dark Tide, people were like, okay, now you have to forgive them and you can't shit talk the game now. It's like, well, yeah, I can, because it launched like shit. Like that's not undone by time.
No.
So that's kind of my hold with that. Like,
I gotta show you metal.
Yeah, I really think people. I suspect that people are gonna hold Trench Crusade to task because there is a lot of there isn't the standard fuck ups here, because like Desrat pointed out, there's the safety thing. They were selling a product with a toxic resin bubbles in them, which is a safety hazard. So
Yeah.
that should add an extra level to this in terms of severity.
Yep.
Not
Yep.
to mention all the lies, going back on promises. Like there's to defend what Trench Crusade has done here, you have to be a sycophant.
Yep. You have to. You gotta have been a huge time pledger.
Yeah.
Or as that one content creator on a art video said, he had dedicated years of effort into committing to Trench Crusade. At which point, you build a career on this shit. What else do you do?
Yeah.
But what is it? Trench Crusade had potential, even though it was not entirely for me. But then they just really went overboard. Like, so overboard with it. And, like, I don't know if you heard of this one. I imagine you have, so sorry if I'm just repeating stuff. But there was the point where they unashamedly just said to their community, we don't know really what's the truth of our setting. That is a legitimate thing they said. That basically no one knows the truth of the matter, not even the authors of this shit.
Okay, the authors are supposed to be the one people who do.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like,
But
like
apparently-
it's not. They're not the first to say that about their own setting. I've seen
No.
that said about like Black Library said that about their own shit, which kills it. But okay, so I'm gonna throw this out there to any aspiring author, anyone out there who wants to create a setting, even if it's just a single book. I wouldn't like fuck making a whole universe. I'm doing that,
Yeah.
but even if you want to create a single book, and you want to have like lore and secrets and stuff in the in that universe, you need to know the answers to the questions. I don't care if like, oh, but I'm never intending the answer to be given. It doesn't fucking matter. For the universe to make sense and for these questions to exist, you need to have the answer. You can't just write the question, not have the answer, and have that work. And if you're an author and you did that, but then your fan base figured out the answer, so what? Good, they figured it out. Oh, but now they're not going to be surprised. Who fucking cares? Oh well, they now get a different satisfaction of being right. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like there's so many authors out there, and so many writers, and so many universe creators, and so many like people who write a universe, and they either think, oh, I never have to provide the answer, so I'm not going to come up with them, and then they have a huge hole in the logic of the setting, or worse, they do have the answers, but people figure them out, and then they're like, well, I wanted to subvert expectations, so I'm now going to change the answer, and now nothing makes sense anymore because they had to change the answer, and the answer, now that the original answer made sense with everything in the setting, but now that they changed it because everybody figured it out, now nothing makes sense because they had to change. Yeah, it's fucking stupid. You don't need to do that. It's fine if people figure out the answer, and it's fine. Like write it, and then once it's written down, and once you write everything around it, leave it alone. And if people figure it out, good. You were a good author. You left breadcrumbs.
Yeah, that's an issue, really. People have come to believe that if you're a reader or watcher or whatever actually can guess what is gonna come, then somehow you fail as an author.
Yeah,
like that's not how this is supposed to work. If you're a good author, there will be hints and trails and to justify something happening.
Absolutely.
Like Chekhov's gun, classic example. You have established it exists. Be sure to use it.
Yeah, like if yeah, I guess I good.
But what people think is the proper writing these days is basically don't establish said shotgun, then use said shotgun out of nowhere, even though it wasn't there on the wall before. That's basically what they're asking. But yeah, Trench Crusade has really dropped the ball. If there even was a ball to begin with, now that I say it out loud like this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And last bit before I head off.
Right.
What's it called? what is unfortunate, and I'm not gonna be one of those who say pick a different what's it called kick alternative Kickstarter or anything like that. But what I am gonna say is what makes this such a shame with because similar to how things have gone with let's say movies based on video games. They have a huge reputation of being absolutely horrible, very poorly made, and unfaithful to the original material. Similar things can happen here. Like now, many indie projects of skirmish games, war games, tactical, whatever the hell, they're gonna have a bad reputation by proxy, and people are gonna be like, "Yeah, this is gonna be another Trash Crusade." You went in on that a little bit before, if I remember.
Yeah, I asked Desrat about it, and Desrat had the mindset of that we still need to, in spite of the bad rep that this might give the community, we need the good
Yeah.
apples so we don't completely have a untenable environment where people who make these kind of projects can't get it supported because there's not enough good examples and only the bad ones.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. Unfortunately, Trench Crusade is going to make that very difficult now.
Yeah,
Because,
it's going to take a few successful. Well, the problem is
Yeah.
to completely wipe the stain of what that they've left on Kickstarters like
Mm.
this. There needs to be a project as big with as major of a success that actually works out for it to completely wipe away the
Exactly.
stain. Like,
Yeah, and
even if there's a bunch
that's
of
gonna take a
smaller
while.
successes, even if there's a bunch of smaller successes, they're not going to completely wipe the
like-
stain if they don't
No,
if they
it-
don't have that same footprint.
No, we need the Trench Crusade, but a positive one instead.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're just going to sit here with, unfortunately, a lot of people who try to go indie, and they just end up not getting the reach they would have expected, or hoped for, rather. But they can't really expect more than that because Trench Crusade fucked them over.
Oh, by the way, I am out of names. Said in chat earlier. Women in their plushies, am I right, guys? Anyways, I bought some more minis. Hey, I don't judge her on the plushies front. I don't. I'm reading what he said. It's not what I said. I bought her that plushie. Okay, I bought her that.
It's there. I love it.
I bought her that, so I don't have a problem with her hobbies. I if anything, I feed the hobby. So hey, I don't judge, and she doesn't judge me because my addiction's worse. So
Yeah, and a lot more pricey.
yeah.
But hey, we love it. We love it. But thanks for having me, Atmo.
Yeah, no
And,
problem. Thank you for coming on. I do appreciate your feedback. Yeah,
My pleasure.
Appreciate
And yeah. I look for, and as a final note, not a big thing. I look forward to whatever news there may or may not be in the future for Warglade Gothic, as always.
Awesome. I'm hopeful for I'm hopeful to have a major update for the Warglade channel. There's another audiobook segment. I just need to get the money together to pay the VA. It's gonna be a little bit longer than the last
Okay.
one. I think might be the same length.
All
actually.
right, all right,
But
all right.
yeah.
I may or may not help with that if you want.
No.
But yeah, take care, Asmo. See you later.
Take care. Thank you for going on.
Bye bye.
All right. Lady Runesong is next. All right, let me pull her in. How you doing, lass? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Good to hear your voice again.
Yeah, you too.
Awesome. All right, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
That's
How
good.
about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Given the news,
Just trying not to have an aneurysm.
trying not to. It's very very difficult. Yeah. And speaking of, what are your thoughts on Trench Crusade and this latest update of fuckery? Because I know you were in the 20. Was it the 28 mag you joined, or was it the
Yep.
official? Okay, so you were in the 28 mag, if I recall correctly. Okay, good.
I didn't bother with the official one because I figured they were probably keeping track of usernames.
Yeah, and turns out they did, by the way. If you didn't hear about that update, a lot of people, the same people who went in for the Trench Crusade Discord, also got banned immediately.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I had only started the video yesterday and then never got around to finishing it. I didn't realize it was that bad. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's cascading, because some of that I knew, like as I said before, speaking to Janovich, directly. I didn't know about like I want to say 2/3 of what he said in that video. That was horrible.
Yeah, seriously. And while others were talking, I decided to go take a peek at the Kickstarter itself and see like what the latest updates were, because I would check in every couple of months just out of sheer curiosity. Because back when I thought that they actually gave a damn, I was like, okay, like you, devil's advocate time. Let me see if this is just a, maybe they're just out of touch, and on the business side of things, things will get better. Clearly, it did not. But yeah, I was looking while people were talking, and they are still slowly shipping things out. And I think we're going to get more reviews in the next month or so, because they're about to ship out more books and replacement minis. They've still got apparently a backload of like 100 replacement orders that they're working on. And I was looking at the comments, and there was someone who said that he had just gotten his book, and apparently they're only packaging them in cardboard and nothing else. So that's why they keep getting damaged.
Wait, so there's no padding, there's no foam, there's
no,
what
just
the fuck?
cardboard, right? And like one thing that really pissed me off, because like for the most part, I've just sort of been enjoying myself the last year and a half, 2 years since this all started. And but this like legitimately made me mad, because I'm seeing it in video games too. Is there was a comment from someone saying that this is manufactured controversy, and it's not. Like, you have comments upon comments talking about their bad orders, people asking where's my stuff. That's not manufactured.
Technically, it is manufactured in the sense that Trench Crusade manufactured the circumstances in which the controversy happened. It's not an illegitimate controversy. They made it real. So no.
And then he followed it up by saying, "I can tell that this is some people's first Kickstarter." And I'm like, what?
Okay, that idiot doesn't realize how bad he makes Kickstarter sounds. Then it's like, oh, well, people just got to get used to getting scammed, you know?
Exactly. I'm like, what does that say about other Kickstarters? And I'm like, if you were to like go to like a Red Robin or something, and everybody that afternoon gets raw burgers, and you complain, that's like having somebody say, "I could tell you've never been to a restaurant before."
This is what I was talking about earlier when I said toxic forgiveness.
Yes, it was crazy timing, because you were talking about that right as I was reading that comment, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get in the call.
Yeah, it's God, it's absolute bullshit.
And you see this in video games too, and it's really damaging, because like all of the like political crap aside, just plain old customer service, we need to knock it off with this idea in digital games and physical games that it's okay to launch stuff damaged, and then your players are your play testers. Like, you're supposed to be selling us a complete product, and you're not. And trying to be a shill and saying, oh, well, you just need to have faith and everything will turn out okay. No, I paid money. Yeah. I expect a complete product.
It's like all these people always act like it's like the creators are donating their time and that it's all being done for free. Like they always, like, the way they act anyway is that nobody is paying money, and that doesn't, or that if you pay money it doesn't mean anything. It means a ton. Like it's why it was such a big deal with Warhammer Plus when they put a bunch of animations up there for behind a $5 paywall, and people were shitting on those animations. People were defending it and saying, well, these animations, a lot of them are just the fan animations from YouTube that got ported over. It's like, exactly, and there's been no quality increase. Like when something's free on YouTube, people don't have any standards for it. So if it's halfway decent, it's considered revolutionary. It's considered amazing. You put it behind a $1 paywall, let alone a $5 one, the expectations skyrocket. Like they like the standards, they exist now. And you can't tell people, well, you got to be forgiving, or you got to let it go, or you got to ignore this, or like if you didn't have a problem with it when it was free on YouTube, you shouldn't have a problem with it now that you're paying money. No, like there are people who are disingenuous as all hell, who live in this fantasy world where you can't be critical of something with such stupid reasons. Like, you can't be critical of it because it was because you liked it when it was free on YouTube, or you can't be critical of it because they're just starting out, or you can't be critical of it because it's only $5. And it's again, toxic forgiveness and toxic positivity. It's the toxic part. I would say the people who are toxically positive and toxically forgiving are far worse than the people who are negative Nancy's from the get-go.
Right.
Yeah, I would rather deal with someone who assumes everything is shit because you know where they stand on literally everything than somebody who is toxically positive. Because the negative Nancy, he just says something shit and you can ignore him if you're having fun with it. If the toxically positive person, if you're trying to give criticism to the people making the thing that you have a problem with, they go out of their way to fight you. Like it's like
Right.
like zealots. And like they'll jump down your throat, they'll yell at you, they'll scream at you, and they'll belittle you because you dared not like something and criticize it in hopes it gets better.
And not to mention, if you keep acting that way, the creators will not be encouraged to do better.
No, quite the opposite. They feel that they can get away with it now because a huge chunk of people. Yeah, it's frustrating.
And this whole thing has just been crazy to watch because I get the excitement of putting together a game and it's an indie project and you're taking care of some of it yourself, like they were doing the art and at least the rules themselves. But you have to plan properly, and they clearly did not. The fact that they laughed about it at the panel should have been a big red flag for anybody who was still hanging on. Because, like, yeah, it's nice when you can see that a creator has the ability to like laugh at themselves and show that they're not oversensitive. But when you're like, oh, we didn't know what we were doing. Well, clearly you still don't know what you're doing. And why should we have any faith in you going forward?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the whole like refund thing, they should have offered that a long time ago. Because if you like, it's a little psychological thing that people need to keep in mind is if you have the ability to get a refund in the back of your mind, then you can more comfortably decide whether or not you want to stick around. Because hell, like, obviously things are stupid bad now, and I'm glad I never did pledge. But
Same.
if for the sake of argument, they had gotten better, if I knew that I could refund at any time, I would have been someone who would have like stuck around and see like, oh, maybe they do have a sincere plan here, and I can kind of confidently stick with them. But they haven't, and I'm like, I would have pulled my pledge a long time ago. Holy crap.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's plenty of people who wanted to, but they, at least seemingly, there's been no real offer of refunds by the sounds of it. So it's very unideal right now. And again, like I fear the backlash this is going to have on future Kickstarters of this same genre is going to be bad because there's going to be a lot of people burnt by this.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I feel burnt by it, and I didn't even actually pledge. I almost did, but I didn't. It's been such a shit show. Yeah, and like I remember like covering the crap that you went through, and I know 4 other mutuals. I think we both have on X had on the 28 Mag Discord. That the way they handled that, the way that they stood by the mods for banning people for vibes, like that was all a huge red flag. But God, it's amazing how that almost feels like a shadow of how bad it actually ended up being. That was like I won't say it was a nothing burger. It was indicative of their future, but by God, like that was nothing in comparison to how far they've fallen.
And you can tell things are bad now when even the Wokehammer types who had flown in there and were getting themselves deputized and everything, they're not promoting it anymore. And if they are, it's like to brag about going to this or that con or meeting this or that person. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you're just here for the prestige. You don't actually care about the game.
Yeah. They're in it for the victory lap. They're not in it for the actual setting or investment. I mean, that's par for the course for them, because that's why they're in 40K. They're not into 40K for 40K. They're into it for the cultural violation. I guess I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty much my thoughts on it.
Yeah, well, and then I appreciate you giving your thoughts. It was good to hear them, especially after with your experience in the 28 mag Discord. That is also a very important bit of their history that I don't want anybody to forget, because I know we're all focusing on like the semi most recent cascade of problems, but I do want to encourage everyone to remember the first red flag was then, way back
Oh
then.
yeah, and they're still trying to do revisionist history now.
Oh yeah, like it actually happened on my comment I left on Janovich's, and you ought to hear this because you were involved in this. I left a comment. I left a comment on Janovich's video, and I said Trench Crusade was clearly doomed the moment they accused, and I said 21 mag because I couldn't remember the number, but the 28 mag Discord bods manning people over vibes. Glad you're not wasting your time with it, man. And the first comment I got was a guy who said, quote unquote, vibes is a really funny way to say racism.
Oh, come on.
I was so mad at that. I was like, you're fucking kidding me.
Yeah, vibes as in Deus Vult memes. Oh, the horror.
Yeah. It was
Gosh.
It was ridiculous too, because the most egregious example I remember was a guy who went on there just to ask how Christianity worked mechanically in the setting as a theological like force against the demons. Like, how does it work? And he got banned. And the first thing that was said to him before he got banned was, I don't like the vibes of this Christian posting.
Which is really ironic given the setting, because I'm like, it's one of the playable factions. We're allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like I would say there was nothing politically charged about what he said.
No.
Like, he was asking a universe establishing question, and he got banned for it.
People have sent me screenshots here and there from the new official Discord, and they've got conversations in there where they're talking about the factions as they are in universe, and they still get warned by moderators to not bring real world religion into this. And it's like, it's based on real world religion.
Exactly. Like, how can you not? Like, how can you not? It's inherently intertwined with the setting that they established. You can't tell people, hey, you can't bring real world religions into it, when that's what they've done. Like, that's all the factions. That doesn't make any sense.
I have to wonder sometimes if they like scan for keywords or something, and to like try and squash any disagreements before they happen, because they're clearly not reading the context of these posts, and these are from their own people. So like, all things being equal, their own sycophants can't even talk about this stuff, which I think is absurd.
Yeah, and it's I would say this is, to make a political statement, admittedly, but this is what happens when you get, well, to be fair, I'll remove a little bit of my political bias from the wording. This is what happens when you take political extremists and you combine them with a creative work and you intertwine them. This is what happens every time. They purity search each other with their own made up criteria into oblivion.
I don't even know how they have fun over there. I guess it's just
I don't think
for
they do.
Sort of the out of game role playing that they do. Like, apparently you're completely safe if you talk about your gay sultanate characters kissing.
What?
Yes. Like, someone got after me on X one time saying that, like, this or that totally wasn't happening, and I already had in reserves a screenshot of someone who was talking about how the Discord is so wonderful because they can talk about their gay sultanate characters kissing. And I'm like, maybe it's a good thing we got out of there when we did.
You probably got spared a lot.
Yeah. So apparently, like, it's wrong to ask, like, gee, how does Christianity work mechanically in this tabletop game? But, as long as you're doing gay ships in the Muslim faction, that's okay, I guess.
Yeah, and it's very, very overtly politically biased. It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's I just don't get it. Like, there's another tabletop war game in the works. Apparently, I made a video about it, but the idiot who made the video about how 40K is raised, what was it? Fucking, I titled my video in response to it, "The Many Lies." Hold on, let me pull it up. Well, I'm not gonna pull it up, like watch it, but it's the most viewed video on the channel. "The Many Lies are the problem with Warhammer 40K." Yeah, that loser. Yeah, he's making a tabletop war game as well, and the very first thing he said about it was that it's only for leftists. Like, that was in his official announcement about it. I do not understand why this is happening so much in this space, because even video games, as horrible as the space is and how obviously politically biased video games are right now, I don't think a single video game developer has been that dumb to come out and say, oh, this game is explicitly for this political party or explicitly for this thing. I don't think anyone's done that. Yet in the wargaming space, that's happened twice, effectively.
Yeah, and it keeps happening, and I'm like, okay, well, thank you for sparing our wallets, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very happy I got spared money.
And the times that I've heard right of center people talk about games they're developing, they never say it's just for righties.
No, I've explicitly said with Warglaive, I don't care if you're left leaning or not. You want to give me money and get into the setting? I'll be happy to have you. I don't care. Like, I don't
leave your baggage at the door and just have fun.
Yeah, like that's how the hobby space used to be, and in some ways it still is that way. I would say in person. Like, I've never had this problem. I live in a very left leaning state, and I still can go to the hobby shop, and I don't think I've ever had a problem. Granted, I never tell the people there my politics. But, and I figure that if I did, there would be a problem, because there's a few guys that are pretty apparently differing from me. I'll put it that way. But there's a silent agreement when you enter the door. We're there to play Warhammer. We're there to play with miniatures. We're there to get lost in a game. We're not there to bring in our bullshit.
Mm-hmm. That's the way it should be.
Yeah. But yeah, I want to say thank you very much for coming on, Lady Runsong. I very much appreciate it, lass, and it was good to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely, thank you so much, and you have a great night. Okay.
You too.
Okay. So the next caller is gonna be the last one. Sorry, Undead. But it's just we've been going for a while, and I do want to wrap it up in the next like 10 to 20 minutes. So we're gonna pull in this Vivek, unless Vivek is really quick. So I will say this, Undead, if Vivek is, and I don't want to, Vivek, if you're hearing this, don't rush. If you have like full thoughts, you want to put down a full conversation, I'd rather have a substantive conversation rather than you feel rushed because there's someone else on the call. I think Undead will be fine if all right, and it even says it's all right. All right, thank you, Undead. Appreciate it, man. All right, so real quick, let me eyeball the chat. Nico said, let me read this real quick. Nico said, part 1, it's a shame the devs are stridently political because the beautiful thing about hobbies like tabletop is that it can act as a bridge between divided people by having a common interest. Yes, and that is beautifully worded, by the way, Nico. Thank you. But that is 120% true. That is 120% true. And that's kind of true about a lot of the hobbies we look at in the past, like video games, novels, hell, something as simple as chess. Anything that requires multiple people to engage in a thing for it to have substance, so basically any game ever, has always been an amazing bridge between divided peoples. Comedy has also been a very good source of that, but speaking strictly to games, and tabletop games in particular have, yes, been in particular very good, because with tabletop games, there's such a, I would say almost a primitive level to it, but also such a realness to it. Obviously, tabletop sim being kind of an exception, but like in person, you play Uno, or something as like basic as Uno, Risk, or Monopoly, or something as complex and as crazy and as wacky and as invested as something like 40K, Bolt Action, Conflict 47. We look at these hobbies, the whole point of them is to make these gaps bridged. is to bring people together and have them invest so much into this very in-person and very personable interactions that these games allow us to have. And tabletop games are at their core very much in-person activity with a lot of, especially when we talk about tabletop war games, there's so much you put into both sides that you have to appreciate what the other person brings to the table, literally. Like, you see someone put down an army of Nurgle and they painted it beautifully, or even if they painted it basically, the very effort they put into putting the models together, you can't help but go, hey man, a really cool army. I don't think I've seen that model, or oh, really cool paint job. I don't think there's something so inviting about tabletop games that you just feel, whether it's invisible or not, but you feel it's like invisible draw to be more open with the other person across the table. And I do think it is a very tragic thing that it's being turned into such a divided community when that's the inverse of its purpose. And part 2, I've seen people who on every level would hate each other over setting it aside and having fun together. Exactly. And I've seen that too. And it's not something that's lost, but it is something that has taken a beating over the years. Absolutely. All right, Vivek, I'm pulling you in. You're never quick. Hey, can you hear me?
Never quick. How you doing, man?
I am doing good. How about you?
I'm all right, yeah.
Awesome. All right, so what is your thoughts on Janovich's update on Trench Crusade and Trench Crusade as a whole? Like, what's your thoughts?
I kind of called it. I don't think online or anywhere, but talking about it in person with people. It just, the whole thing, it didn't look like it was going to work out. It basically was nothing because the massive amount of attention it got was because of the Fem Story stuff. And that's when a lot of people started deciding that they might need to jump ship. And Trench Crusade was one of the first ones that people started talking about. And it didn't have anything there. There was no models. There was just art. There was barely rules, if I'm rightly at that point.
If we're talking about the same point I'm thinking of, yeah, there weren't any rules yet. It was just I remember it was just a concept art, and I think they had like 2 minis.
This would have been when the Custodes Codex came out. So
yeah, I think at that point, if I'm not mistaken, at that point they didn't have any rules yet. It was just a couple of minis they put up on the Kickstarter for like a preview, and then a lot, like I want to say 4 or 5 different concept arts, which were really good. I still think those are some of if people make posters of that, they could sell that for eternity because those still look fucking baller.
Yeah, and I think that happened, and they were like, "Oh, we've got loads and loads of attention now, and it's going to stick around a bit. We need to do something with it." And I think they probably rushed. That's why they've probably rushed a lot of stuff. They weren't prepared for the Kickstarter. They probably weren't prepared for the politic and stuff happening, and they probably realized that most of their industry contacts, even if it wasn't their personal politics, which it might be, but we don't know, most of their industry contacts would have been on the left, and most of the industry people that they would work with, or the industry sort of like institutions that they would work with, would have support from like leftist initiatives and stuff like that. They were basically in a really difficult position where they couldn't do anything but fuck it up. And I kind of noticed that within about a day or two of it being talked about on Twitter, because there was just nothing there for it.
Oh, sorry. Was that a question?
No, well, there was just nothing there for it. So it was kind of obvious that to me anyway, it became fairly obvious that it wasn't going to succeed. Obviously, then the political stuff happened where they started banning people from the servers and stuff. And that.
So you called it even before that happened?
Yeah, just in person to people that I know. I don't really post on the internet and stuff.
Which is probably healthy.
Yeah. So I just, uh, someone would bring it up to us, and I'd be like, nah, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. There's basically nothing for it. And then they got oodles of cash, and I think they probably just ended up a bit greedy. They probably realized,
Oh, yeah.
wait a minute, we've just made loads and loads of money off this, or we've got loads and loads of investment for this. That means we could possibly be the next GW or whatever.
Oh,
And they
absolutely.
decided and they just went full corpo, which leads on to like kind of the main thing I said at the start. The company behind Trench Crusade, I don't know what their name is worse than Games Workshop. Games Workshop, pretty much every motivation that they get to do things is because of shareholders and demands from them. Because if they don't deliver their demands, they're fucked. Trench Crusade doesn't have shareholders. It'll be a private company.
They kind of do in a sense. They don't in like
I mean,
they have
they
like
have their investors, but
yeah
they don't have.
But even outside their newer investors, I think I heard that they have like an official investor in the background. I think I heard that. Trademark, I don't know, but I think I heard that. But even if they don't, like they kind of do in the form of the Kickstarter. Like the people who kickstart your product, they kind of act as your initial shareholders because without them, you don't have what you have. Like without that money, you don't have the production you have, you don't have the public support that you have, you don't have the means in which to continue producing your product. By all accounts, if on no other front than on an ethical front, you have your shareholders in the form of your Kickstarters, and I do think you have a fiduciary duty to the people who financially pull their money together and back you. I would say, if not on a legal basis, certainly on an ethical one, that is no different than a shareholder.
On a moral basis, yeah, but I think on a legal basis, I think it will end up different. I think that they were woefully unprepared, realized they could make loads of money off it, and went full greed. And it's a speed run of being Games Workshop, but without any of the sort of shadowy corporation behind it, like controlling it. It's just like a team of, I'm gonna guess, a few dozen people at most, maybe up to 100 if like out in a stretch, and they've just
I would
decided
say
that they're going to be really, really greedy.
I would say there's no way. Well, I guess there is. It's just everyone is that lazy. But there's no way they have like 100 people and the quality of the product has so many problems on shipping and everything. I'm going to say they probably have less than 20 people. That would
Yeah, it
be
wouldn't
that. I
surprise
think
us.
that's contributing to like the quality issues or the QA quality issues of the prints and everything.
Yeah, well, but it sounds like they just they just have a company print their models.
I know they do for the
So
plastic. I don't know if they do for the resin. That's like where I'm not sure. I know and for sure they do.
that's the sort of thing I got from Janovich's video. Is that one of the problems with the resin like 3D
Oh,
prints
right.
is
3D 3 or 3 whatever wherever they were. 3DC.
is that
Yeah.
it's a
I
company
guess no,
that
yeah, because they
have
did
nothing
mention that
they
they had
basically
like
have nothing
100
to do with
machines
it.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, so Trench Crusade is a client of them. They would handle all the quality stuff. It's just they've it wouldn't surprise if they went with some cheap Chinese 3D printing like factory.
Actually, we could look it up since we do got the name. Hold on, let me double check what the name is, and I'll Google it.
They then start.
So S3Ds. Let's look that up. S3D. Printing company. Likely refers to a business like 3DS 3D, providing customers services, shape, ways, okay. That's not helpful. I'm not finding a company called S3D. Maybe Google's confused if I'm asking about 3D printers, but
maybe. But it's one of those. I wouldn't surprise if it is a Chinese.
it wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, because they'll be the cheaper ones. And they'll probably have wanted to go for the cheapest that they could get.
Probably.
It seems like they would be like that. Especially considering how they're doing everything else, where they've got the plastic kits being GW prices and stuff. I do wonder how all of the YouTubers who basically went around sucking off Trench Crusade for the past like year and a half are going to deal with this, because it's no one's main thing. Like Trench Crusade isn't anyone's like main content, or at least no one of any significant sort of recognition.
Yeah.
But you've got a lot of people who are very heavily involved in it. I think Mini Wargamer Dave, I think he's quite heavily involved into the Trench Crusade, like, because something like that would be enough for like a lot of people to unsubscribe from a content creator if they just continue to be like, oh, isn't Trench Crusade so great whilst all this is happening?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say that. Well, in Mini Wargaming Dave's case, I think he'll be fine. Well, how invested in it? I guess I don't know how
He
the
was
level.
he was one of the creators who was invited to go to that conference thing that happened, and there's a clip of him actually in the Janovich video, which is probably why he came to mind.
Okay.
He's like he's probably one of the bigger ones who's actually like directly sort of involved with
interviewed them
like
at
a
the very least.
relationship with Trench Crusade.
Yeah, I mean, for the creators that have covered, I think a lot of the creators who covered it, I think Ninian, whatever his name is.
He looks like Carl Rittenhouser.
Fuck. Way to throw that one at me. Okay.
He does.
I mean, I can't say you're wrong. Crap, no, I can't unsee it. Fuck. Trench Cassette. I think he did a couple of crossovers with them. Yeah, he's done a couple. I think the guys who, and this is just kind of agreeing with you because I think you said this in essence, but I think the guys who just covered did it in a couple videos, either painting the minis or just talking about it positively, I think they're going to be fine if they don't talk about the drama, as long as their channels aren't, focused around it. I think you are right that no one is dedicated to Trench Crusade. There might be a couple nobodies. Is there anybody?
From what I saw when people were starting to pay attention to Trench Crusade, it was people on our camp who were like, "Oh, this game looks interesting. It might be a good alternative to 40k." And then everyone else who wasn't part of the camp was like, "Oh, it's actually ours now."
Ooh, so 5 hours ago, Mini Wargaming Dave on his own channel uploaded a new Prussian Strasstruppen for Trench Crusade. Dave reacts to Minis episode 6. That is terrible timing.
That is really bad timing.
That is really bad. It's very clearly a video that's pro Trench Crusade, just eyeballing it.
Yeah.
Bad timing, dude.
I don't think he makes any level of critical videos.
No, well, that's absolutely true. I don't think. To be fair to Mini Wargaming Dave, and maybe this is just because within the time I've been in the space, the Mini Wargaming crew has always been kind of like that fun guys in the corner. You don't really.
It's not a slight at all of them.
Yeah.
Some people don't make critical videos. It's like not their wheelhouse.
Yeah,
I couldn't be sitting here saying it as a slight whilst being a Valrak fan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh God, yeah. It does suck though, because it does suck that this could potentially hurt not just Dave's reputation, but anybody who is just kind of a decent person on the side who just gets dragged into this crap.
I think that was always going to be a risk as well when it's a political thing.
Yeah,
because that's how that's all. That's how the whole
And
that's how Trench Crusade got noticed in the first place. Was Games Workshop making a political action?
yeah, and I genuinely, for me, I genuinely don't get why. Like, maybe it's just it comes down to as simple as if you're part of that ecosystem of the left, you can't disassociate yourself. But I just don't get why the creators of Trench Crusade couldn't, for the sake of business, if nothing else. And they're clearly greedy, so like,
Yeah.
one would assume just for a business sense, the moment they started getting flack for the 28 mag moderation team, they didn't necessarily need to come out and call them out. I mean, I wanted them to, but they could have just said, "Hey, we know there's stuff going on in the 28 mag Discord. We have no control over that. We are not going to denounce the people in there, but we're not going to say what they're doing is right either. We're gonna make our own Discord server going forward, and we're going to try and maintain a fair and balanced moderation team." They only had to say that, and then like that's still pretty milquetoast, but that would have been better than what they did, which is straight up siding with the 28 mag people, and then getting into drama with that, and then also then them hopping off X and stating it was for political reasons and going to Blue Sky. Like, there's a lot of things they did that was overtly political.
Yeah, guys, people could say the N word on this website now. We've got to go to Jeffrey Epstein's island of websites.
Yeah, that was such a terrible move. Like, anybody who like jumped to Blue Sky, like, it's like your solution to not liking X is go to Pedo Land. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, some of the models do like look good, but it's just not.
Well,
like,
actually,
it's
to
never...
me, they don't now. Now that I know that there's resin bubbles in it, like, I don't know how to describe that phenomenon.
Seen the plastic stuff, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe that phenomenon, but it's when you look at something that objectively you know it looks good, like artistically speaking, but because you know there's a flaw in it, like literally like a critical flaw in it, now you can't disassociate that knowledge from what you're looking at. Is it? I don't know what to call that. Like a shadow criticism.
Either,
yeah, I don't know if there is a term for that, but it's kind of like a, you can't look past the flaw that you now know is there.
Yeah, I mean, it does suck. It does suck because obviously there's a lot of people who wanted this thing to work out well. People who just don't give a shit about the politics because it's not their wheelhouse, or maybe they're not even, they're not from a place where it's even relevant.
Yeah.
But I do think that K47 and Warlord has done everything that Trench Crusade wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, K47 has been very, very good. And also, they were technically in a mini controversy themselves with the Russian box set that they couldn't do properly.
They just couldn't.
But they were straight up with it.
There was stuff in it that they wanted to do, and they literally just couldn't. The machines just wouldn't allow them to do it. So they were like, you know what? Sorry, we're going to just refund everything.
Yeah, and they were straight up with that, and they did the right thing. Yeah. They did the refund. Like, they handled it how you're supposed to handle it. And again, Trench Crusade should have been able to do the same thing, because it's just as simple as look at what people don't like that's in the industry at current. Look at what your competition is doing right, what your competition is doing wrong. Don't do what they're doing wrong, and do what they're doing right.
Oh,
and they still couldn't do
Trench
that.
Crusade isn't giving refunds. They've run out of money. They won't have the.
You think they're out?
Well, I don't think they're out of money. They don't have enough money to give refunds.
Yeah,
the amount
that's
of refunds
true.
that people are asking, they probably don't have enough money for it.
How much do you think they spent on that AI service to hunt down people making proxies?
Well, I now work in somewhat corporate environments, so these things range literally anywhere from like a few $100s to literally like hundreds of thousands.
Mm.
And it's normally dependent on the scale of what they're asking for, because most corporations like don't actually have much in the way of any sort of copyright infringement, because it's mostly just about their name and maybe their logo, whereas obviously Games Workshop and Trench Crusade and stuff have intellectual property to deal with. It's probably a lot more expensive than their regular corporate rates.
I would imagine, yeah.
And I doubt they're getting any sort of like, like, oh, you're just a small company. It's like, it'll be, you can afford us or you can't. So,
yeah.
And the company would have done research into them, knowing that they had a Kickstarter that generated $3 million. And so they'll be like, oh, well, they've got a lot of money.
got a lot of money, and they don't have a huge corporate infrastructure, and probably don't have a huge team of lawyers behind them. So
Yeah, and they won't have
let's
much
take these
corporate
guys for a
experience.
ride.
Yeah, and
Oh god.
it genuinely wouldn't surprise us if more than 5 or even 10% went on that AI thing.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me either. Yeesh. Like, it's like the more I talk to it, like not just you, but like everybody who's come in the call so far, the worse everything feels. Because
Yeah,
like
it's all,
watching,
because it's just like it's not even that more information gets added. It's just that more sort of like realization happens because how can you fuck up that bad? You got handed everything that you want on a silver platter.
literally
All you needed to
everything.
do was not be shit, and they were shit.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you can be a little shit. You just need to be transparent about it. It's like, okay, you guys are having printing issues. Immediately, like, split into two teams. Have a group of people looking for a better artist or a better printing company to do it right, and then the other team go to the Kickstarter public and be like, "Hey, we are having a massive issue on the back end. We're gonna ask for some forgiveness here while we try and restructure and try and get everything out to all of you. Give a timeline, even if you have to breach it later. Give them a timeline that's fair and reasonable." To get everything fixed. A lot of it can be established with communication. And then for the rest of the team, order everybody to stay off social media. Say, okay, stay off social media, do
Yeah.
your jobs, and chill out.
Chances are as well. I mean, most people when they invest into a Kickstarter, they understand that it's not going to be as simple as buying a product, and so
Yeah.
when things like that happen, most of the time people understand. I mean, like there's all sorts of Kickstarters where things just drag on forever, but because they're honest and consistent with like updates and stuff, people are happy to remain or become a new pledge. But I think there is a Kickstarter for Wargame stuff that I'm looking at, and I think I would only now give a Kickstarter to a company that's had a successful Kickstarter in the past.
Yeah.
I don't think I could ever give my money to one that's never done anything like that before.
Yeah, see right there, that mentality right there is kind of why I had my response to Dasrod earlier of like I don't think I could put Warglaive on Kickstarter. Because for me
I
it
think
would.
well, I think it would be different because I trust you as
Well,
an
yeah, but that's
individual.
like a personal thing. But what I'm saying
Yeah.
is like other people who are not you, like you and I have spoken. You've heard me. You've seen some of what I've already made for Warglaive, so you know that there's a genuine person behind it. But all I'm
Yeah.
saying is like for like the person who doesn't have that connection you have, that
Yeah.
that might have the same interest as you, but has now been like seeing this stuff with Trench Crusade and all this, and not to mention other failures because I've seen countless failures from Kickstarter.
Mm.
Like my fear is that they come across Warglaive and their first instinct is oh cool, well their first instinct is not oh cool, it's this new grimdark setting, it's this new tabletop war game that's in the works, I want to support that, I want to see that where that goes. Instead my fear would be that their first assumption is oh there's another scam, I'm going to write that down as something to avoid and tell people to avoid later.
I think even worse than this could be another scam would be someone who's like, I would really like to give money to this, but what if it's another Trench Crusade?
Yeah.
I think that would possibly be one of the worst. Because if someone looks at it and is like, oh, this isn't for me, you are never going to get their money. But someone who wants to but won't because they're worried about the risk, that's and I think there's a decent chance that there will be some of those people created from this event, as there probably will be with any failed Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But there is successful Kickstarters that should probably also be elevated. There's one going on right now for Drop Fleet universe. I think they call it the Commander universe. Drop Fleet Commander is a ship game. Started as a Kickstarter, got bought by TT Combat, and now TT Combat's kickstarting a like terrestrial war game. They've got an epic scale war game. They've got a ship game, and now they're kickstarting a terrestrial war game that's both a skirmish game and then a larger battle game. And they've made the money that that's for like a couple $100,000. I think that's for $100,000, and they've gotten about $250,000. And
That's pretty good.
those are the ones that need to be kept an eye on, and then elevated to show these do work. These Kickstarters do work. It's just when they're managed by someone who
Who cares?
is
Let's
who cares?
be frank. Who
Someone
cares?
who cares about the universe that they've created.
Yeah.
Whereas sees like Trench Crusade doesn't necessarily get. Ooh, someone who's going to have a bit of a. I've just had a.
Ooh,
Eon's
brain
Battle's
blast?
going to have a bit of a. Eon's Battle's going to have a little bit of a rough thing with this.
Oh,
'Cause
Eon's.
He's got an active like business relationship with Trench Crusade because he has working with Trench Crusade created his own like regiment for Trench Crusade. That's got models and everything.
Ooh, yeah, that's not gonna be good.
But I think I'm not 100% sure because I haven't looked at it because I don't really care about Trench Crusade like as a setting. I think he produces them himself through his. I think he just does it in his house because he produces terrain each month for his members and stuff.
Like STLs or
Yeah.
Huh.
I think he might be producing them, but obviously you don't know. But he has an active working relationship with Trench Crusade, or has done in the past, and created his own like sort of group squad. Yeah, squad. It's like squad v squad.
Yeah.
So yeah, he might have a. He doesn't tend to address things though.
No,
There
not
could
that
be an
I've
elephant
noticed.
in the background of his videos, and he'd be like, "Yeah, so this is Death Guard guy I'm painting."
I'm yeah, I'm gonna. I have I won't say I have a disdain for Eon because I don't know a shit ton about him. But I will say this: I've seen a couple of his videos that I actually really like that were like basic like tips for like the hobby space that are actually decent. But I've seen just as many videos where he talks about topics that I really don't like.
He's good when he doesn't talk about law.
Yep.
And when he doesn't have an idea that is about something other than painting, because his ideas half the time they're just like you bring up like an idea for something in Warhammer, and it's like, no, that would be awful.
Yeah, I there's a lot of creators in the space that would do with living by the term just stay in your lane.
Yeah.
That really don't. Like Midwinter Minis, for example, was great at that for a long time, and then out of nowhere, he was like, let me
extra credits the community.
Yeah, let me step my foot into this bear trap that I laid out myself.
The Nazis put me in a bear trap.
Oh god.
Yeah, I haven't watched him since.
I haven't either.
Really
I can't.
That really put us off his. Because I liked his content.
I did too.
There's a few creators that I'll tolerate for their like even though their politics are like really stupid. Like Poor Hammer, I enjoy most of their episodes of their podcast, even though they don't have a Twitter, they have a Blue Sky. Or at least they don't use a Twitter. They post a Blue Sky and that sort of shit. It's like, okay, I can tell what they are, but they don't mention it most of the time in the videos. Like,
yeah, which is fine. Like
once every month.
Yeah, you can be a leftist moron, but as long as your content doesn't have any of that, I can watch.
Moron around me, you know. So like,
yeah.
and like I'll watch and stuff like that. I probably would never support them monetarily, but you know, it's what. But apparently, that's just too hard. Apparently, it's too hard to just not be a belligerent arsehole on the internet.
I mean, I can't comment on that. I'm a belligerent asshole, so for me, it is too hard.
But you aren't you aren't trying to make oodles of money through a miniature company yet.
Not yet. Working on it. But as I've already said with, but as I've already said with Wargleaf, like unlike a lot of these morons, if you're left leaning, I don't care if you want to buy it. If you're left leaning, I don't care if you want to get into it. Yeah, go ahead. I encourage it. You're perfectly welcome if you're left leaning. Just leave your politics at the door. That's what I'm doing with mine. If we could both agree to do that, we could both have fun. If you can't agree to do that, I'll ignore your existence. I'm not going to ban you from buying it, but I'm not going to cater to you.
I mean, obviously, there's going to be some level of influence from your politics, because politics are partly how you think.
I mean, yeah, but it's
but it's not going to be like
it's not
the Chud
propaganda. I'm not
legions
gonna. Yeah, I'm not
mowing
gonna.
down the woke legions.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make an equivocation with like a real world thing. Like everything's written within the pocket of the setting. Yeah, I have my
Yeah.
political virtues, but I try and go outside of it because now I don't want all my factions politically homogenous. Like I want my factions and everything in the setting to have differing views. So I go out of my own shoes and be like, okay, what would this perspective think? What would this perspective think? And I don't base it off of real world politics as much as this is what this faction has experienced. This is what has led to them being the way that they are.
Yeah.
So like my worldview does influence my writing, but that's everybody. I don't make propaganda though.
Yeah. And everything I've seen out of your setting is like I haven't seen anything out of your setting that would strike us as anything like that, or even as anything bad. It's all been pretty good quality so far.
Thank you, and I'm hoping to ramp up on a few things. Yeah, I have a bunch of overtime coming up with my day job. I'm hoping to take some of that excess money and turn it into a bit more productivity. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, that like short story you put on YouTube was really good. It was about like 20-30 minutes long, but it felt like I was only listening for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So
well, thanks.
it was good.
Yeah, I took my time writing that. Like, when it comes to writing for the setting, that segment I put up, that was only chapter 1 of a book that I'm working on. The short story. There's another short story I'm working on that isn't part of a greater book. It's more of like a quick, succinct story. That's the next audiobook. Well, I'm kind of debating because once I have the money, I'm either going to hire the same VA I hired for that segment to do another chapter of that book, because my mindset is like, okay, I can release like the book in chapter form of audiobooks, and then when I'm ready to sell the book as a whole, I'll already have an audiobook ready. And I'm going to leave it free in that chaptered format on YouTube, but I'm also going to see if I could put like the full thing stitched together on Audible or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm either going to do that or I'm going to take the short story I'm working on for one of the other factions and have that audio, have the VA I hang out with and have her do that one. Kind of debating because it would be good to switch to a different faction. If I keep going along the lines of that one book, it's all from one faction's perspective.
Yeah, it could be good to use them as like a sort of like an almost narrative introduction to each faction, or at least the factions where a story works for a narrative introduction.
Yeah, that's my thought process. So I'll go with one of the two routes. Probably going to go with that one. And in a couple of months, I'll have the money within a few weeks, assuming my overtime isn't rescinded. But I'll have the writing finished probably by the end of next week. Knock on wood.
No.
But yeah, I mean the one downside with working on Warglaive is, and like talking about it, is I feel bad because it's such slow progress. Because I'm doing everything right now and I don't have the money to hire other people. And I will say this, I've had a bunch of other people like come to me and say, hey, I'm willing to do this for free. Hey, I'm willing to do that for you for free. Hey, I'm willing to throw you that bone. And it sucks because there's multiple reasons I have to say no. Like the first big one is my own ethics. I don't want anyone to do something, especially if they're talented at it and they're passionate about it. I don't want them to do it for free. Because I've been forced to do that with a lot of my stuff. Warglaive as a whole, I'm doing in terms of at current, I'm doing it for free. Yeah, I am doing it with the hopes of making money later. Transparency. It is a business venture, but at current, everything that's been done for it and is being done in the background for it is for free until that profit is made. But I don't want anyone to. I don't want anyone to work towards my dream for free.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to free stuff and all, it's normally like, if it's not lower quality work, it's like slower work, and you feel like you kind of can't push it along because they're doing it as a favor, and so it ends up where you might be waiting on something to actually like finish up the first of a project, but you don't feel like you can push someone along because they're doing it as a favor, and it's better to just do it where you're paying someone. You can be like, hurry up, get done. I'm paying you.
Yeah, well, there's that, and there's one other aspect to it that is admittedly the less ethical front. It's the business aspect. When someone does something for you for free, even if you write up a piece of paper and like have them write sign something and consent to have their work provided to you for free for expecting nothing in return, there is still some legal ambiguity. At least here in the States, there's some legal ambiguity with that. Where if like that one day I piss that person off for whatever reason, and they want to get back at me, and they did that work for free, even if I have something signed that says that they, consented to that, there is still precedent that they can legally go after me for it and say either they were provoked or they were blackmailed, or they can invent a bunch of BS reasons why they want to take it to court.
Yeah,
And it's a whole hassle I don't want to open the door to. If you pay someone, though, and there's a paper trail of payment, doesn't matter what they say later. They consented to give the work out, and they were compensated. So that's a business security thing as well. So the two big reasons is my own ethical. I don't want people working for free, especially if they have a talent, because I want people to be paid what they're worth. And I also want to avoid a potential legal trouble in the future. So that's why I don't want to accept any free labor.
You want to make sure any sort of business venture you do is as organized and secure as possible. Trench Crusade.
Yeah. It's almost like we've been talking about a very big reason why. Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for coming on, Vivek. And this whole thing's been a shit show. And I don't know. I'll consider making a Kickstarter for Warglaive, but after Trench Crusade has made it very...
might be a Game Found or Game Foundry or whatever it's called might be a better shout, because that's again it's more focused.
Yeah, maybe. That might be a smarter move. But it's Kickstarter for sure right now. Big hesitant, leaning towards no, maybe. But yeah. I mean, that's it for tonight, though, guys. Thank you, Vivek, for being the final guest and ending on a very high note as well.
Yep.
I hope everyone has enjoyed the show. Hope everyone will enjoy the. I lost my train of thought on that one. I hope everyone has a great evening, and make sure to leave a like before you head out. Subscribe, and hopefully, going forward, we have more positives to talk about in the space. Trench Crusade looks like it's fucked. All right. Have a good night, everybody.